A few days of that, and I turn to the Array Dao legacy. It declares that among the 100 arts of cultivation, the Array Dao stands supreme, and a distinct expression of pain arrives on my face as I read on. Comprehending the Array Dao is far harder than comprehending the Alchemy Dao, because it works by borrowing the power of heaven and earth. That power is vast and without boundary, and neither immortal masters nor true monarchs can hold the reins of it. Time slides past me while I fight with the thing, and half a year is gone in what feels like a breath. Inside a second-tier immortal cave thick with spiritual chi, I sit cross-legged in front of the pill furnace and cast the pill retrieval incantation over and over. The furnace turns steadily, and beneath it the spirit fire that spirit charcoal feeds burns clean and hot. An alchemist refining medicinal pills does best with earth fire under his furnace. The cave I rented offers limited conditions and has no dedicated earth fire in it, so spirit charcoal is what I use. Charcoal is inferior to earth fire, no argument, and none of what I am refining is rare. These are ordinary medium-grade and high-grade medicinal pills, and with skills that stand a hair short of the second tier I fail almost none of them. Earth fire and fine pill furnaces are external objects, aids and nothing more. What decides the outcome is always the level of the alchemist holding the incantation. I once heard of a high-grade alchemist who used a volcanic crater thousands of miles wide as his pill furnace. He borrowed heaven and earth to refine miraculous medicines. The pills form, and I cast the incantation quickly. The turning furnace slows and stops, the lid flies up, and 7 round, plump medicinal pills float out into the air with their fragrance spreading behind them. 3 come out prime quality and 4 ordinary. I glance over them and put them away. Half a year in this cave has not been spent purely on comprehension of the alchemy legacy. I have been at the furnace myself, learning by hand how the various medicinal powers achieve their perfect fusion at the moment the pill solidifies. What I refine, I do not swallow. As for selling, I will do that inside the simulation instead, because one batch can then be sold many times over. So long as I never sell them in reality, I can sell the same batch once in every simulation I run. They are only medium-grade and high-grade pills, but a mosquito is meat, however small, and I do not refuse meat. In half a year I have refined no fewer than 100 high-grade medicinal pills, and the medium-grade ones run well past that. This is the count with me holding back. Besides, in reality I have no cultivation to do and time in embarrassing quantities. The second-tier alchemist threshold sits so close now that I could cross it on any given day. A second-tier alchemist refines second-tier medicinal pills independently, and the raw materials for those are second-tier spirit medicines and their kin. Second-tier spirit medicines hold far more spiritual chi, and their medicinal properties fuse grudgingly. A moment of carelessness there ends with the pill exploding in the furnace. Nothing tests an alchemist's control more brutally than that. In half a year, I have also taken the basics of beast taming and the talisman Dao and reached the low-grade level in both. That is what standing on high ground buys a man. Years ago, to master the basics of alchemy alone, I served as an apprentice under Alchemist Un for decades. Part of that was never receiving the whole of what he knew, and part was that alchemy is simply hard to begin. Now my divine sense and my comprehension stand far above what chi refining allowed, and an ordinary skill is about as difficult as breathing. A core formation true person would go faster still, since every skill takes the cultivator's own realm as its foundation. I can run simulations without limit, so there is no sense in chaining myself to one skill. If this one hits a bottleneck, I comprehend that one, and if that one stalls, I move to a third. Carrying many skills has never been a burden to anybody, and any one of them may turn out to matter in a later simulation. A bottleneck in cultivation or in a skill can hold a cultivator still for heaven knows how many years. Rather than beating at the wall, it is better to walk around and find another road. The approach only suits a man in my position, since for everyone else crossing the bottleneck is the only road to a new level and more lifespan. A man who cannot cross it may know a dozen skills and still turn to dust the day his years run out. I pull my thoughts back in and look at the illusory text below my line of sight. It gives my name and human race and my strength at the first level of foundation establishment. My skills read high-grade alchemist, low-grade beast tamer, and low-grade talisman master. My age reads 17. My talents are alchemical poison nemesis and unyielding will, and my simulation count stands at nothing. My gaze settles on that last column, where the countdown tells me 20 days remain before the count refreshes. I am 17 years old now, and I was 16 when the first simulation began. So I go on waiting, and I go on comprehending the formation legacy. Across the past half year, the formation basics have come more slowly than anything else, that legacy being harder than every other I own. My interest in it started when I saw the enormous formation laid over the whole of Bayrwell Immortal City. Power like that, spread across hundreds of miles, is something even an ordinary immortal master would decline to meet head-on. The means of the formation Dao carry a great many restrictions, and when the conditions are met, the effect is monstrous. 20 days pass. The illusory countdown finally returns to 0, and my eyes light up at the sight of it. In all this time, I have refined medicinal pills without swallowing a single one, and the craving has grown genuinely uncomfortable. Across the first 2 simulations, I ate pills the way other men eat rice. The illusory text begins to change rapidly in front of me, and my expression shifts. Something new has appeared that the first 2 simulations never showed me, an extra anchor point selection. The knowledge of it floods into my mind before I can ask. An anchor point is the time node at which the simulation begins, and there are 2 kinds. The current anchor point uses my present moment as the starting point, exactly as the previous runs did. The initial anchor point is fixed instead, requiring me to choose some point in the past to serve as the start, and once chosen it cannot be changed. The question is whether I need to set an initial anchor point at all right now. The earliest node available to me is the moment I first crossed over into this world, and nothing before that crossing can be used. My guess is that Foundation Establishment transformed my life essence and dug this function out of the simulator. That is the only real difference between this run and the 2 before it, so I set the moment of my crossing as the initial anchor point, since earlier is plainly better. What the initial anchor point is for, as best I can read it, is to keep me from walking the wrong road forever. If the Sanhei art proves decades from now to bar me from the Nascent Soul stage, I can start again from that fixed point and choose differently. At that moment, I had cultivated no immortal cultivation technique at all and was a blank slate. Everything is prepared now, and my expression turns solemn. I choose to begin the simulation from the current anchor point. My mind stirs, and the illusory text starts to change rapidly. The simulation begins. In the first year, I am 17, a cultivator already standing at the Foundation Establishment stage with a spread of skills under me. I return the rented immortal cave and leave the immortal city entirely. A few days later, I put on a new identity and a new face, and walk back into Bayerwall Immortal City as somebody else. The purpose of the maneuver is to cut away unnecessary trouble before it can find me. Then I begin selling the great mass of medium-grade and high-grade medicinal pills I refined earlier. Bayerwall Immortal City is the largest gathering place for loose cultivators in the Taewon region, and hundreds of thousands are packed inside it, most at Chi Refining. Pills of that grade are hot goods here. Mine are good quality, and I never once have to worry about a slow sale. When the last of them is gone, I have taken in a considerable sum, and I start buying what I actually need. First come the second-tier medicinal pills that a Foundation Establishment cultivator uses for daily cultivation. My root aptitude is only low-grade, and without pills to help me along, I could sit at the early stage for decades without touching the middle stage. I do not buy many of them, since I expect to be a second-tier alchemist before long and to refine my own. What I am purchasing now is a bridge and nothing more. Beyond that, I buy a great quantity of second-tier spirit medicines and spirit materials. Outside the simulation, I watch the illusory characters shift, and my gaze stays calm. In reality, every move has to be weighed first, since a single stray variable can ruin a future I already know. Inside a simulation, none of that caution is required, because the simulation can be run again. I still cherish every simulation opportunity I am given, and I would never deliberately walk that body into death. 2 simulations have taught me enough to fix 2 principles for myself. The first is cultivation, meaning that my own cultivation and my own breakthroughs come before all other business, because what I build in there is inherited out here. The second is to live as long as I can and collect key information about what is coming. In the previous 2 runs, that principle handed me the Sanhei Secret Realm and Musan Market, and those 2 pieces of intelligence have carried me further than any technique. Without them, I would very likely still be crawling along inside the Chi refining stage. In the world of cultivation, information is the whole game. On the small scale, it makes a man rich, and on the large scale, it lets him dodge disaster and reach an opportunity first. The illusory characters keep changing. At last, I re-rent a second-tier immortal cave fitted with earth fire, which costs a good deal more than an equivalent cave without it. With everything in place, I sit down to my first cultivation session using medicinal pills since entering the Foundation Establishment stage. Inside my Dantian, 13 drops of Sanhei mana turn slowly. Cultivation at the Foundation Establishment level is nothing more or less than condensing more liquid mana into that space. A cultivator who has just entered the Foundation Establishment stage generally carries 9 drops of liquid mana, and one standing at perfection carries 99. I cultivate the Sanhei art, so the quality of my mana runs far above the ordinary standard, and I entered the realm with 13 drops instead of 9. At perfection, that will mean 133 drops in my Dantian rather than 99. A day later, the session ends, and when I sense carefully into the depths of my Dantian, I find a faint vortex starting to gather outside the 13 drops. My cultivation is still far too slow. At this pace, the 14th drop will take a year or 2, even with alchemical poison nemesis letting me swallow medicinal pills at high frequency. That estimate does not include the time a bottleneck will eat. The shackles of a bottleneck are the main reason cultivators stop advancing at all, and many men sit against one for decades. so my expectations for the buyer whirlpool climb higher every time I think of it, since it remains the only opportunity I know of that raises spiritual root aptitude permanently and carries no hidden danger. Going by the pattern of past openings, the next one falls a little over a year from now. I end the session and begin writing a letter. The recipients are the Jew family, far away in the mortal world. At the chi refining and foundation establishment levels, letters travel by special messenger or by spirit pigeon, and only at the level of a mortal master do better methods open up. I write partly to learn how the Jew family are doing, and partly to test whether the letter channels are safe. Inside a simulation, my tolerance for failure is enormous, and I can afford to try things twice. Besides asking after my parents and my brothers, I ask specifically about Dakan. In the second simulation, his talent for body refining was startling. Before I left for Bayerwall Immortal City, I passed him the Sanhei body refining art and left the matching resources behind for him. With the letter written, I turned to alchemy, and this time what I intend to refine is a second-tier medicinal pill. I can feel the second-tier threshold under my hand, so I mean to force myself across by attempting the work. That is why I bought the second-tier spirit medicines. The earth fire burns and I hold its temperature steady, melting each second-tier spirit medicine and material down into medicinal liquid. Then I use that scorching heat to drive every impurity and every residue out of the liquid until only the purest part remains. This far I move without any difficulty at all. 2 simulations, over 100 years of alchemy behind me, and the divine sense control of a foundation establishment cultivator make the first half of a second-tier pill almost restful. Then comes pill condensation. I have to fuse different second-tier medicinal liquids into one another, and the fusion required is not a mixing of substances, but a fusion at the level of medicinal power itself. Only that kind of union makes a pill whose effect exceeds the sum of what went into it. Many main ingredients and auxiliary medicines carry an effect when swallowed raw after all. The foundation establishment pill has 3 main ingredients: the mysterious yin herb, the mysterious yang fruit, and the twin flowers. Eating any one raw lifts a man's chance slightly. Fuse the medicinal power of all 3 perfectly, and add the matching auxiliaries, and the pill that comes out raises the success rate to somewhere between 3 parts in 20 and 1 part in 4. Under my careful control, the 8 kinds of medicinal liquid begin to merge. Then something goes wrong, and I throw my foundation establishment mana around the pill furnace without pausing to think. An explosion sounds inside the furnace the next moment, and if I had not wrapped it in advance, the whole thing would have burst. The failure does not trouble me in the slightest. I never expected to succeed at a second-tier medicinal pill on my first attempt. Over the time that follows, I split my hours between cultivation and further attempts, and 3 months later, a batch finally comes out whole. I have become a second-tier alchemist. Outside the simulation, a smile arrives on my face at that line. To me, the first furnace of second-tier pills was a few sentences of illusory text and no more. Inside the simulation, it spanned better than 3 months, more than 20 furnace explosions, and better than 10 ruined batches. All of that stood on the accumulated alchemy of 2 simulations, and over 100 years of practice besides. Going from high-grade alchemist to second-tier alchemist is a chasm most alchemists never cross in a whole lifetime. So I am a second-tier alchemist. I nod slightly at the thought. This is the first of my skills to reach the second tier, and it happens to be the Tao that the world demands most. Among the 100 arts, there is no honest ranking of high and low, and every skill legacy sings its own praises. Even so, the Tao of alchemy would sit in the top 3 for sheer influence, and a case could be made for putting it first. Now at last, I have some confidence at the foundation establishment stage, and my spirit feels lighter for it. Since entering this realm, my consumption during Cultivate has run far past what chi refining ever cost me. These 3 months I have lived entirely by cleaning out rogue cultivators, refining their loot into medicinal pills, and selling those for spirit stones. Much longer out of reach, and I would have had to find a proper channel of income. Medium-grade and high-grade pills alone simply cannot feed a foundation establishment cultivator's appetite. The poison nemesis talent lets me ignore most alchemical poison and take pills at a frequency nobody else can sustain, which is another way of saying it doubles my expenses. None of that matters anymore. Wherever cultivators gather, the standing of a second-tier alchemist is a serious thing. In a market like Musan or Cheonggu, a second-tier alchemist is qualified to sit down and set terms with the market master himself. A foundation establishment family that keeps one stationed will never find itself short of combat power at that level. Even inside Beerwall Immortal City, a second-tier alchemist stands well above the crowd. In the second simulation, when I called on alchemist Joe Gan, the men queuing in his side hall included a good number at the foundation establishment stage. Having become a second-tier alchemist, I consolidate for a few days, refine several more furnaces successfully to be sure of myself, then leave the Immortal Cave and go to the Alchemy Hall. The Alchemy Hall is the largest body of alchemists in Beerwall Immortal City, filling the same role the Alchemist Alliance filled in Musan Market. Its hallmaster is a third-tier alchemist, the imperial alchemist of this immortal city, whose influence carries across the entire Taiwan region. I have come here to join, and the reason is simple enough. A man enjoys the shade under a big tree, and in the immortal realm, a cultivator with a background and a cultivator without one are not the same creature at all. Joining hands me the Alchemy Hall's name, and lets me build connections of my own on the strength of it. In the second simulation, the Alchemist Alliance of Musan Market did a great deal for me on exactly that principle. Joining now is also preparation for the Buy Your Wool pool quota that opens a little over a year from now. With the Alchemy Hall behind me, I can at least contend for one of those spots on something resembling fairground. Soon I reach the core area of Buy Your Wall Immortal City, a district only a few dozen miles across where the spiritual chi runs thicker than anywhere in the inner or outer city. The Alchemy Hall stands here. I walk in, and a female Foundation Establishment cultivator comes forward to receive me, and I state my business in rough terms. In this simulation, I am using the alias Wang Rim again, and the face and bearing I wear are aggressively forgettable. A middle-aged man with a round face and a yellow beard. She takes a second look at me, having gathered that I hold second-tier alchemy skills, and tells me what Alchemist Wang must already know about joining. Anyone seeking to join is tested, since imposters passing themselves off as experts would otherwise be endless. Under her guidance, I go to a secret room and refine a furnace of second-tier medicinal pills, watched throughout by a second-tier alchemist. When it is done, she returns and tells me that Elder O wishes to see me, and her manner toward me has warmed considerably. The test proved my level, and a proven second-tier alchemist is welcome anywhere under heaven. I know who Elder O is well enough. The Hall Master stays in seclusion the year round, turning the Tao of Alchemy over in his mind. The two Deputy Hall Masters ignore worldly business almost entirely and surface only at critical moments, so the whole Alchemy Hall is run in practice by 4 elders, and Elder O is one of the 4. Before long, I am standing in front of him, a man past 150 years old with graying temples and a faint weight of hard living in his gaze. He remarks in a calm tone that coming up from a loose cultivator background cannot have been easy, and his eyes go over me with open scrutiny while he says it. I understand perfectly well that joining the Alchemy Hall means having my background examined as thoroughly as my skills. What he wants to know is whether that background is clean. A man on the Taiwan region's wanted list, counted among the fugitive cultivators, could hold second-tier attainments and still never be admitted here. Fugitives of that kind have committed major cases, and no faction anywhere feels easy about using one. I nod slightly and agree that it was not easy. Then I tell him that decades ago I came into a legacy left behind by an unknown alchemist, and that only through that piece of luck did I rank among second-tier alchemists at all. The speech was prepared long before I walked in. Elder O nods and then asks whether Alchemist Wang would be willing to put a wisp of mana into a piece of jade stone. He turns his right hand over, and a palm-sized stone appears in front of him. The purpose of the request is to check me against the Taiwan region's wanted list. Every fugitive cultivator on that list has his mana aura recorded. A face can be changed, and a Foundation Establishment cultivator with strong divine sense can even perform possession. A mana aura is a far harder thing to alter since the overwhelming majority of Foundation Establishment cultivators have no ability to cultivate again from nothing. That makes the mana aura one of the more reliable standards for deciding who a cultivator truly is. I look at the jade stone and put a wisp of Sanhei mana into it without hesitating. Elder O examines the result and is largely satisfied with me since my aura matches nothing on the current list of wanted fugitives. He also finds my Sanhei mana thick and pure, which reads to him as a man walking the righteous path, and makes me more trustworthy still. He tells me at once that if Alchemist Wang has no objection, I may become a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall from today. A second-tier alchemist who joins and passes the audits and tests is entitled to that rank. The treatment a guest elder receives is not small. First is the matter of a cultivation location, since a guest elder holds an alchemy building of his own and several chi-refining stage mates besides. Second, a guest elder may buy restricted resources through the Alchemy Hall's channels. The mysterious yin herb and the mysterious yang fruit are monopolized by the great factions and unbuyable at any price. Last, a guest elder counts among the middle and upper ranks of the Alchemy Hall and stands as its public face. Carrying that identity, so long as I do not set myself against a core formation true person, my life is under no real threat at all. In the immortal realm, an alchemist counts as a precious skilled talent. Even in a war between large territories, skilled men carried off to another territory generally survive it. What they lose is their freedom, and not their lives. On top of that, I now hold the standing of a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall. Elder O gives me a set of instructions about what to be careful of, and in truth, there is very little in them. For an alchemist, it comes down to matters of refining medicinal pills, since no faction under heaven sends its alchemist out on combat missions. Having explained everything, he takes me to the alchemy building. It stands in the inner city and it dwarfs an ordinary immortal cave. running to 3 floors with a courtyard attached. He tells me with a smile that the place is mine from today. The first floor draws the purest earthly fire up from the city's underground fire vein, and the second and third floors are for cultivation and rest. I look the place over roughly and find myself thoroughly satisfied. Holding a building like this in the inner city, where land is measured against gold, is beyond many a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator. I have it purely because the alchemy hall stands behind me. After watching Elder Ogo, I begin arranging the place to suit myself. The first job is fine-tuning the earthly fire, since every alchemist develops his own habits about how he wants it to burn. Then I go up to the second and third floors, each of them several hundred square yards and tied into the immortal city's spiritual vein, so the spiritual chi inside runs generous. In the second year I am 18, and I have settled comfortably into the life of a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall. I leave the alchemy building meaning to buy second-tier spirit medicine and spirit materials. On the way, a middle-aged man greets me by my alchemist name, and I return the greeting and call him Alchemist Joe. The man is none other than Alchemist Joe Gan. In the second simulation, the Foundation establishment pill that carried me across the realm came out of his furnace. At this point in time, though, he is not the medium-grade second-tier alchemist I remember, but a seasoned low-grade one. In the year since I became a guest elder, I have met many colleagues of the same rank, and Joe Gan is one. We talk for a while, mostly trading alchemy experience back and forth. Outside the simulation, the sight of it stirs something in me. In the first simulation and the second alike, Alchemist Joe Gan was a great figure I had to crane my neck to look at. In the first, even Yopon needed Alchemist Un's help simply to arrange a visit. In the second, I did meet him, and what stayed with me was how high above me the man stood. Foundation establishment cultivators had to wait obediently in his side hall. Now that same alchemist Joe Gan chats and laughs with me like a friend of 30 years. This simulation's starting point stands far above the two before it. Every run is a form of accumulation for me, and unless I die at the very beginning, I always come away with something. Even dying at the start would not be meaningless, since at the very least a talent would settle out of it. The settlement depends on my performance inside the run though, and a man who dies immediately performs at the lowest possible level. The talent that came out of a death like that might not even match alchemical poison nemesis. The illusory text keeps changing while I think it. Having traded alchemy insights with Alchemist Joe Gan and set a time to meet him again, I go on to the Immortal City's Spirit Herb Pavilion and buy my spirit materials and spirit medicine. Half a day later, I come back to the alchemy building. 2 chi refining female cultivators walk up to greet me, both of them graceful and gentle in temperament, with a plain girl next door charm about them. These 2 are the maids the alchemy hall assigned to me, young women named Chunhua and Chuwal, one standing at the second level of chi refining and the other at the first. Maids in this world do more than manage a household's routine and keep an alchemist's supplies in order. They are also there for relaxation and for the venting of whatever wants venting, and I do not particularly reject the arrangement. That night, when my cultivation session ends, I favor them both. Afterward, I look at the 2 of them where they have collapsed into sleep, and there are faint traces of tears at the corners of their eyes. Plainly, my favor was not a wonderful experience for either of them. Part of the reason is simple physical fact. My body carries the 3rd layer of the Sanhei body refining art, and stands above the physical body of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. These 2 are only early-stage chi refining. The other part is more likely the face I am wearing. A middle-aged man with a round face and a yellow beard reads as thoroughly greasy to a pair of young chi refining women. By appearance, my age is certainly past 100, and the 2 of them are somewhere around 20. A greasy face and a great many years are hard things for young girls chasing beauty to swallow, and I suspect the second complaint matters more than the first. If I dropped the disguise and came to them wearing my own face, I doubt there would have been any tears at all. I understand what they think of me perfectly well, and I have no intention of accommodating it. In the immortal realm, a man who wants to gain must pay, and the rule does not soften for anybody. As my maids, these 2 receive my protection and the chance to learn alchemy from a second-tier alchemist. Set against what I endured as Alchemist Un's apprentice in the first simulation, their treatment is better past any measuring. With gains like that on the table, paying some price is entirely ordinary, and standing in their shoes, I would pay it myself for a chance to lift my alchemy that far. In half a month, the slots for the beer whirlpool go on release. By everything I have gathered, those slots are sold at auction and the highest bidder takes them. Across the past 3 auctions, a beer whirlpool slot went for somewhere between 15,000 and 30,000 spirit stones. What I hold at the moment comes to 18,000. I have only been a second-tier alchemist a year or 2. Part of that sum remains from clearing out bandits, and the rest is borrowed from other guest elders. An alchemist's wealth is built by years piling up, and I simply have not had the years yet. 18,000 spirit stones is what I hold, and I can only hope it will be enough. I let out a slow breath and wait for the day to arrive. Half a month later, the auction goes ahead without trouble. It belongs to Biorwal Immortal City, a medium-sized affair held every 3 years, and the pool slots are far from the only prizes. Treasures, medicinal pills, rare items, and magical artifacts come across the platform in a steady procession. Alchemist Joe Gan and I agree to attend together, since buying a Biorwal pool slot is nothing to be ashamed of, and there is no reason to hide who I am. A cultivator with medium-grade spiritual root aptitude reaching the foundation establishment stage is hardly a rarity in the cultivation world. Nearly everyone in the hall stands at the foundation establishment stage. The handful of chi refining cultivators present are mostly juniors trailing their elders to gain some experience. The threshold for a medium-sized auction in this city runs high enough that an ordinary chi refining cultivator would find no way through the door at all. Everything on offer begins at the second grade, and near the close of the first half a foundation establishment pill actually comes up for bidding. In the second simulation, the Guyang family produced exactly one such pill as the finale of an auction meant to revive their marketplace. To obvious effect, here it appears in the first half and nobody treats it as anything remarkable. Through that entire first half I bid on nothing, saving every spirit stone I hold for the slots. Alchemist Joe Gan bids several times and takes home the spiritual materials and treasures he came for. The second half opens hotter than the first, with precious resources arriving one after another. Then the host announces the Biorwal pool slots, 10 of them altogether, each starting at no less than 10,000 spirit stones. He reminds the room that every fellow Taoist present knows what the pool does, and adds that a man who has no use for one himself might still buy it for a beloved junior. The foundation establishment cultivators start bidding before he has finished speaking. 12,000 comes first, then 14,000, then 18,000, and the first slot goes straight past 20,000 spirit stones. I stay out of it because there are 10 slots on offer and the first almost always draws the highest price, while the later ones ease off. Soon the 7th comes up and I try 16,000. And the foundation establishment cultivators around me bury the bid almost immediately. I let out a breath and do not chase it. The 8th slot climbs above 18,000 just as quickly. I fall silent, with no optimism left for the last two, and the 9th and 10th do exactly what I expect and rise past anything my purse can reach. So I let the whole matter go. I misjudged how popular these slots would be, plainly enough. 3 previous openings have spread the pool's name far enough that men come to this city specifically to bid. Old auction records were never going to predict today's price. Having given up here, I turn my mind toward the next auction 3 years off, or the next simulation entirely. Compared with every other cultivator here, I have more chances than I can count, and nothing makes winning a slot today mandatory. Just then, Alchemist Joe Gan glances over with surprise. He asks whether Alchemist Wang has an interest in the Biorwal pool slots, and whether for myself or another. I admit I am interested and that I wanted it for my own use, and then I shake my head over how it turned out. He asks why I do not simply go through the Alchemy Hall's channels, and then something occurs to him and he corrects himself. He had forgotten that Alchemist Wang joined the hall only recently and would not know about the arrangement. Then he tells me that the Alchemy Hall receives 5-year-old pool slots every 10 years, and that a guest elder may apply for one without spending a single spirit stone. Not many people know it, he says, and the guest elders themselves show little interest. The hall's slots can only be used by the guest elder who applies and cannot be handed to anybody else. Few guest elders hold medium-grade aptitude anyway, and those who could apply already have. The reasoning behind that holds together. Becoming a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall requires foundation establishment cultivation first and second-grade alchemy skills second. A man with medium-grade aptitude spends everything just reaching foundation establishment, and carrying second-grade alchemy on top is more than most can manage. Alchemy devours time and energy in quantities that leave nothing over. So the guest elders of the Alchemy Hall are overwhelmingly men with high-grade spiritual root aptitude, and the small number holding medium grade have already applied across the past few decades. The decisive point is that the hall's slots cannot be gifted, while the slots at auction are precisely so expensive because they can. I am slightly stunned, and then joy comes up through me. I had already written the whole thing off, and a turn of events I never saw coming has handed me a second road to the same door. Alchemist Joe Gan tells me to take the matter to Elder O, who knows it better than anyone. The auction ends, and I go to find Elder O immediately. He looks at me with surprise and asks whether I truly want to apply for a Biorwal pool slot, because applying announces to him that my spiritual root aptitude is only medium grade. The pool cannot improve anything above that. I nod and tell him yes. My aptitude is in fact low grade, and that is not a sentence I will ever say aloud in this hall. A guest elder with a medium grade spirit root is merely uncommon. One with a low grade spirit root has probably never existed here at all. Testing spiritual root aptitude requires the man tested to drop every defense and let the tester's mana into his body. For any cultivator alive, that is both humiliating and genuinely dangerous, so I have no fear at all that Elder O will try to verify me. No foundation establishment cultivator would accept an inspection of that kind. He simply says he understands and asks nothing further. In the third year, I am 19. Alongside cultivation and alchemy, I finally step onto the path of array formation and become a low-grade array master. Inside my Dantian, I condense the 17th drop of liquid Sanhei mana, and my strength rises with it. In that same year, the notification arrives telling me my application for the Biorwal pool has been approved. Elder O leads me to a hall in the core area of the Immortal City and tells me with a smile to go inside. I walk in and find a pool dozens of yards long. Emerald green liquid ripples in it, thick as syrup, giving off a rich smell of vitality. I take off my clothes and lower myself into it. An extremely gentle force comes through the pores of my skin and nourishes some foundation of my physical body so slowly that I can barely follow it. A few days later, I open my eyes and climb out of the pool. My perception of the heaven and earth spiritual chi around me has sharpened noticeably, and my refinement of that chi has improved along with it. My spiritual root aptitude has risen, and it now stands at the medium grade level. The text tells me I now hold a medium grade spiritual root. Outside the simulation, the words go through me like clean air. Across the previous two simulations, my low-grade aptitude sat on my cultivation speed the way a stone sits on a seedling. Different aptitudes mean different efficiencies in refining heaven and earth spiritual chi, and the arithmetic is brutally simple. To produce one strand of mana, a low-grade spirit root must refine 100 strands of heaven and earth spiritual chi. A medium-grade spirit root needs 80. 20 strands is nothing in an afternoon and everything across a century. Lifting my aptitude from low grade to medium grade may show no visible effect in 3 years or 5. Stretch the line out to 20 years or 50 or 80 or 100, and the gap becomes an entire realm. Beyond that, the change does not belong to this one simulation alone. It reaches into every simulation I will ever run. So long as I choose the option that inherits cultivation, realm, skills, and memories, the medium grade spiritual root talent comes home with the rest. A smile arrives on my face. 2 complete simulations have given me a working understanding of the 2 inheritance options. The first covers cultivation, realm, skills, cultivation technique, and memories, which is to say it covers the man I was inside the simulation and everything internal to him. The second inherits one treasure I held in there, which is a matter of external objects instead. Either way, whatever crosses over is stripped of every negative state and every strand of karma on the way. Inheriting the self brings the cultivation and leaves the alchemical poison and the medicine resistance behind. The Biorwal pool works only once on any given cultivator, because resistance builds against it. I can wash that resistance away, simply by starting the next simulation and going back to soak again, and then again after that. Reaching a high-grade spiritual root aptitude has stopped being a question of whether, and become a question of when. Joy moves through me at the realization. High grade already counts as the normal standard for a foundation establishment cultivator. A man holding it has a thin thread of hope at core formation without leaning on alchemical poison nemesis. Counting forward, the auction where the dark demon eagle egg surfaces is 6 years away. That eagle carries an earth grade bloodline, the equal of a human cultivator's earthly spiritual root. Raising it to foundation establishment is easy work, and its hope of becoming a 3rd tier great spirit beast is not small. A 3rd tier Great Spirit Beast is the equal of a core formation immortal master among men. Cultivating one to the foundation establishment level would be a guarantee of my own safety as much as anything else. A spirit beast also outlives a human cultivator, so before my lifespan runs out inside that simulation, I could sell the creature to some faction and take in another fortune. What a faction truly wants from a dark demon eagle is not its combat power at all, but its bloodline, which is to say its ability to breed. The moment my spiritual root finishes transforming, I leave the hall. Elder O went long ago, since I soaked for several days and no one expects one of the 4 great elders of the alchemy hall to stand around waiting on a guest elder. Back at the alchemy building, I do not sit down to cultivate immediately but bathe first. Chunhwa and Chuwol are sensible girls, and when I am done they dry me carefully without being asked. Then I begin the first cultivation session since the transformation, and I can plainly feel my speed step up a notch. That is only the speed of a medium grade spirit root, and I am well satisfied with it. Several days later, a letter reaches me from the secular Jew family. I left my address at the end of the first letter I sent them, so the road runs both ways now. Cultivators writing to the secular world are common enough, since most men who have only just stepped into cultivation still have relatives back among the mortals. The secular world keeps its own designated places for sending letters up into the cultivation world. I open it and read it through quickly, and there is not much in it beyond word that everyone is safe and well. The letter mentions Dakun, who has spent these 2 years running off into the deep mountains to cultivate now that the Jew family have settled securely in the real kingdom. Everything being well is all I asked for, so I put the letter away and sink back into cultivation. In the 4th year I am 20, and I feel my alchemy skills settle vaguely against a bottleneck. I am neither panicked nor anxious about it. I keep refining medicinal pills every day, and turn part of my attention onto other skills instead. In the 5th year I am 21, and several years of steady work have spread my name through the immortal city. Cultivators come to my door daily asking for medicinal pills, and a great many of them stand at the foundation establishment stage. An alchemist grows more sought after as he ages, and richer along with it, provided his reputation stays clean. Plenty of alchemists cut corners and quietly hold back pills from every furnace they open, and their reputations rot accordingly until nobody brings them work. I hold pills back occasionally myself, and the difference is that I always deliver a normal yield first, so every cultivator who comes to me for pills leaves satisfied whenever I can manage it. Over the years, that habit has built me exactly the reputation I wanted. In the 6th year I am 22, and alongside alchemy I reached the medium grade level in the Talisman Dao. The two skills share a great deal of common ground. Alchemy lives or dies on the alchemist's control, and drawing talismans is no different, since forcing surging mana down onto a small square of talisman paper is impossible without precision of the same kind. Comprehending the Talisman Dao with foundation establishment cultivation behind me puts my progress far ahead of any chi refining cultivator holding the same talent. Talisman Dao also feeds combat power far more directly than alchemy does, and a single offensive talisman can turn a losing fight around. In the 7th year I am 23, and the Dao of Beast Taming follows the Talisman Dao into the medium grade, which makes me a medium grade beast tamer. A beast tamer at that level can hold 3 spirit pets at once. The higher levels are said to allow a beast tamer to merge with his spirit pet outright, and share certain of its abilities. In the 8th year I am 24, and I reached the peak of the first level of foundation establishment several years earlier than my own estimate. The medium grade spiritual root is showing its first real effects. With a low grade spirit root under me, I would very likely have needed another 3 or 4 years to stand here. The alchemical poison nemesis talent has contributed heavily as well. That talent cannot send a man's speed skyrocketing in one leap, and what it does instead is force an increase of roughly half a level on top of whatever aptitude he already holds. A low-grade spirit root leaning on it approaches the speed of a medium-grade one. A medium-grade spirit root approaches high-grade and heaven-grade. In the 9th year, I am 25. With my state adjusted as finely as I know how, I go at the bottleneck and break it, and I step into the 2nd level of foundation establishment. Standing at the 2nd layer of foundation establishment, 26 drops of liquid mana turn slowly inside my dantian. Gathered together, the spiritual pressure they give off is no weaker than what an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the 3rd layer produces. That is what a top-tier cultivation technique buys a man, since the quality of his mana outruns his realm and a dozen other advantages come along behind it. When such a cultivator charges a major bottleneck, his foundation and his background are more solid than his peers, and his odds of success are correspondingly better. Pleased with the breakthrough, I have Chunhua and Chuwal attend me at my bath. Their bodies are ultimately too weak for me, and I have never once come away from them fully satisfied. Several days later, I buy several high-grade magical artifacts inside the Immortal City, 2 for defense, 2 for offense, and 1 for support. Nearly 10 years as a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall have piled up a considerable mass of spirit stones, and 5 high-grade magical artifacts do not strain me. I would have bought top-grade magical artifacts instead, if a top-grade artifact did not require a cultivator at the late stage of foundation establishment to draw out its full power. Alongside the artifacts, I buy dozens of 2nd-order talismans. Then I leave the Immortal City and set out for Musan Market. This time I am carrying more than one plan with me, and intercepting that dark demon eagle egg is only the first of them. A little over 10 years from now, the Sanhei Secret Realm opens. Unlike the previous 2 simulations, I intend to prepare well in advance, and grow a faction of my own inside Musan Market, ready to send in once the Secret Realm's doors part. I will not go exploring it personally, and there is nothing stopping me from training subordinates and sending them in to do it for me. My eyes in this run are not only on Yopbong, but on every resource and treasure and rare item buried in that place. The Sanhei Secret Realm was built several hundred years ago by the Sanhei sect, a core formation-level faction. Even after Master Hyolhei tore through it, it tempts any foundation establishment cultivator enormously. Once Beerwall Immortal City is well behind me, I bury my aura and make my way quietly toward Musan Market. On arrival, I put on the shape of an old man in a straw raincoat and walk in through the gate. Disguising my identity heads off an enormous amount of trouble before it starts. If I truly ran into danger, revealing myself as a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall would still not be too late. What I hide is my identity and not my strength, and my foundation establishment aura hangs on me openly. Walking the familiar shops and streets of Musan Market again stirs more in me than I expect. There is better than half a month left before the auction, so I rent an immortal cave in advance and settle in. That same night, a beautiful female cultivator comes calling, and her name is Guyang-un of the Guyang family. Musan Market does things differently from Bayerwall Immortal City, and every Foundation Establishment stage cultivator who enters this place is received by a dedicated member of the Guyang family as a mark of respect. Guyang-un is the one assigned to me. She asks first whether I have any needs, then describes the market's features and the auction it will hold in a little over half a month, and then she withdraws respectfully. More than half a month later, the auction goes ahead successfully. Under Guyang-un's persistent invitation, I agree, with visible reluctance, to attend. At the highest level of the venue, I take a private box and look down over the many cultivators below, and she sits beside me and introduces every item personally as it comes up. The face I am wearing belongs to a reticent old man in a straw raincoat who says almost nothing, and I can feel her relief at that. As a woman of the Guyang family, she knows exactly what would follow if I showed her the smallest flicker of interest, since the family would have her in my bed the same night. Befriending a Foundation Establishment stage cultivator is worth any number of chi refining girls from the clan, by their arithmetic. My gaze drifts over the chi refining cultivators seated below. During an auction here, cultivators are forbidden to extend their divine sense at all, so that nobody can lean on anybody else from the shadows. Soon my gaze settles on one man among them, and the name Senior Wan-ho comes up out of my memory with everything attached to it. This disciple of Beast Taming Mountain will step into the Foundation Establishment stage 10 years from now and become a direct line Foundation Establishment cultivator of that mountain. Today he is nothing but a cultivator at the 8th layer of chi refining. Seeing him sitting there lets me breathe out. In the second simulation, I asked after the details of this auction and the eagle egg several times, and asking is not the same as standing in the room. Only now, with Senior Wan-ho in front of my eyes, is the information confirmed as true. From here, I need do nothing whatsoever except keep watching him. The auction moves on. The host reminds the room that commanding a spirit pet greatly increases a cultivator's strength, and then presents the next lot, the egg of a black-winged eagle. He says the black-winged eagle carries a medium-grade bloodline with the potential to grow to the late stage of chi refining, and that with luck it might even become a second-order spirit beast. The starting price is 150 spirit stones. He goes on praising the egg's many benefits at wild length. The cultivators in the venue show almost no interest at all, since a man with resources enough to raise a spirit pet would rather spend them on his own strength directly. Among the crowd of chi refining cultivators, something jumps in Senior Wan-ho's chest. He stares hard at the black-winged eagle egg up on the high platform, sensing faintly that a deeper aura is coming out of the shell. He decides in that instant that he must have it. As a disciple of Beast Taming Mountain, he carries an innate intuition where spirit pets are concerned. This egg speaks to it more strongly than most of the spirit beasts on his mountain. He steadies his mind and calls 160 spirit stones. Then he looks around the venue, finds that hardly anyone else cares about the lot, and quietly lets out a breath of relief. Just as Senior Wan-ho sits waiting in excitement for the bidding to close, a hoarse voice rings out from the highest point of the auction hall and offers 170 spirit stones. I have been watching his reaction below, and I enter the bidding. My participation draws a stir from the venue. Every move a Foundation Establishment stage cultivator makes attracts attention, and bidding on an eagle egg attracts more than most. Senior Wan-ho takes it like a lightning strike. Against any other chi refining stage cultivator, he would back himself to win the thing outright. Against a Foundation Establishment stage cultivator, he has no such confidence, however highly he thinks of himself. He bites down and follows with 180 spirit stones, and I speak again and say 190. This time he does not follow. He suspects that if he keeps following, he may not reach Beast Taming Mountain alive. The mountain behind him does not make him bold enough to provoke a Foundation Establishment stage cultivator. From the private box high above the auction, I have been watching Senior Wan-ho the whole time. Only when I see him give up the bidding in a dejected state does my heart settle a little. Not long after, the black-winged eagle egg is carried up to the private box and set down in front of me. It is blackish-gray overall and about the size of a wash basin. Guyang-un, from beside me, offers her congratulations to the senior on obtaining the black-winged eagle egg. I wave my right hand, stow the black-winged eagle egg into my storage pouch, and keep watching the auction below. For the rest of the night, I'd bid here and there and pick up 7 or 8 ordinary treasures, spending close to 2,000 spirit stones in the process. Guyang-un, the beautiful female cultivator seated beside me, presses her soft body almost fully against mine. She is the one assigned to host me, which means she has quotas to fill on top of making introductions, so every spirit stone I spend lands in her ledger as well as mine. Between lots, I keep half an eye on Senior Wanho down on the floor. Ever since I took the black-winged eagle egg out from under him, the beast-taming mountain disciple has looked gutted, and he has stopped paying attention to anything at all. That suits me perfectly. When the auction ends, I stand, leave the box, and set myself up outside the exit to wait. Senior Wanho comes out before long. The timing and everything he has done since have all but confirmed that the egg in my pouch is the majestic dark demon eagle of decades from now. Nothing is ever absolute, though, and I want one more confirmation before I let myself believe it. He has composed himself by then and no longer looks openly wretched, though something in him is still badly off. Missing that egg feels to him like missing the single most important thing in his life. The man who took it was a Foundation establishment cultivator, so no matter how unwilling he is, he has to swallow it whole. It is the feeling of watching a woman he loved get carried off and enjoyed by someone else. Even if he reaches Foundation establishment one day and trades through a dozen channels for a black-winged eagle of his own, it will never be the same bird. So he steadies himself, walks out of Musan Market, and turns straight toward Beast-Taming Mountain. All he wants now is to put distance between himself and the place that broke his heart. He is crossing a stretch of low hills when his face changes. His mind roars, and as a disciple of Beast-Taming Mountain, he recognizes at once that this is a divine sense attack, the kind only a Foundation establishment cultivator can throw. He has time for one bitter thought about the dignity of a Foundation establishment cultivator stooping to an ambush, and then his awareness drops into darkness and he folds without resistance. I come out of the shadows a moment later. After entering the Foundation establishment stage, I spent several years cultivating divine sense attack techniques specifically. My purple talent, Indomitable Will, points me straight down that road, and I intend to use every inch of it. Even the white talent, Alchemical Poison Nemesis, has proven worth its weight, so a purple one is not something I waste. I watch him from a distance first, confirm he has lost the ability to resist, then step in and strip his storage pouch and his spirit pet bag. I go through everything once, slowly, and there is no second black-winged eagle egg anywhere in it. That puts me at 90% certainty that the egg I bought is the dark demon eagle. I do not give the pouch or the bag back. Instead, I dig the beast-taming token out of his storage pouch and toss it down onto his chest, then wipe every trace of what I did here, and vanish into the dark. In a valley a few miles off, I bury his storage pouch, and I bury the spirit pet bag somewhere else entirely. I do not kill him, and the reason is simple caution. Major factions leave measures on their disciples that activate the moment one of them dies and lock onto the killer. Beast-Taming Mountain is the hegemon inside 10,000 miles, with a false core immortal master sitting at the top of it, and I have no interest in standing across from a power like that. Besides, the egg is already mine, so his death would buy me nothing. Half a day later, Wan Ho wakes up. The first thing that comes back to him is the moment before he blacked out. His scalp crawls at the thought of a Foundation establishment cultivator lying in wait in the shadows to hit him with divine sense. He forces himself to look around and finds no one. Then he discovers his storage pouch and his spirit pet bag are gone. The beast taming token, the one thing marking him as belonging to Beast Taming Mountain, has been thrown down in front of him. The story writes itself in his head. Whoever ambushed him, meant to finish the job, saw the token, and spared him out of respect for the mountain behind it. He bows to the empty hills and thanks the senior for sparing his life, his expression shifting the whole time. And then he leaves fast. On the way out, he mutters that the security around Musan Market is genuinely terrible if a Foundation establishment cultivator will ambush a chi refining cultivator like him. He swears to himself that he will never come near the place again. Half a mile back, I watch his retreating shape without moving. I left that token behind on purpose, to hand him a motive he could believe. A Foundation establishment cultivator moving on someone at chi refining is rare but not unheard of. Even if he takes the whole story up the chain at Beast Taming Mountain, the verdict will be bad luck and nothing more. In this world, luck counts as a kind of strength, and some cultivators do stumble into fortune wherever they walk. I glance once toward the ground where the pouch and the bag are buried, and decide to come back for them in a few months. Burying them is insurance against tracking measures, and I think the odds are low anyway, since Wan Ho is only chi refining and nobody at Beast Taming Mountain considers him worth watching. A few months of waiting costs me nothing. What I find myself wondering is whether he can still make it into Foundation establishment after this. In the second simulation, he reached that stage in 10 years. In this one, he lost the egg first and then lost his entire fortune to me, and I suspect the damage to his state of mind will show. I do not go straight back to Musan Market. I drift outside for more than half a month, then peel off the disguise of the old man in the straw raincoat, and walk back in as a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall. Entering as an ordinary Foundation establishment cultivator would have moved nobody. Entering under that title moves everyone. I am inside barely any time at all before Market Master Guiyang Xin comes in person to greet me. The Guiyang family runs this market and deals with people from every direction. So they long ago collected most of the intelligence there is on Foundation establishment cultivators in the surrounding regions. My name as a guest elder of the Alchemy Hall has been spreading for the last 10 years, and they have heard it. So the moment they learn I have entered, neglecting me stops being an option. That is exactly the reaction I wanted. If I had not wanted the Guiyang family to know who I was, keeping my face disguised would have cost me nothing at all. Guiyang Xin greets me with a line about having long heard of alchemist Wang Rim's great name and finding that the reality lives up to it. He is a middle-aged man in yellow robes, medium build, skin the color of bronze. From what I know, he still has 70 or 80 years before his lifespan runs out, so he is squarely in his prime. I returned the greeting by his title and nothing more. Intercepting the black winged eagle egg was only one of my 2 reasons for coming to Musim Market. The other is to lay groundwork now for the opening of the Sanhei Secret Realm a bit over 10 years from here. In the second simulation, I knew the Sanhei Secret Realm was coming and could do absolutely nothing about it, pinned at the middle stage of chi refining. This time, I am Foundation Establishment and I carry an Alchemy Hall title, so I can put my hands directly into it. Guiyang Xin and I talk for a while, and most of what he actually wants is to find out why I've come to Musan Market. I invent something to brush him off with. He leaves telling me to contact him anytime I need anything, and that is the end of it. That night, another beautiful female cultivator from the Guiyang family comes to my immortal cave. Her name is Guiyang Sim, and both her figure and her bearing are a clear step above Guiyang Own's, with cultivation already at the middle stage of chi refining. She greets me softly, gentle and fragile as a cut flower. I do not let her stay the night. 2 simulations have taught me exactly how ruthless the Guiyang family's cultivators can be, and I keep my guard up around all of them. The next day, Guiyang Sim walks me through several shops in the market, including the Spirit Beast shop the Guiyang family manages personally. Inside it, with her standing right there watching, I buy several Spirit Beast eggs, one of which is a black-winged eagle egg. That purchase is groundwork. The egg I intercepted is going to awaken the Dark Demon Eagle bloodline, and when it does, attention will come at me from every direction. In the second simulation, everyone alive knew that Wan Ho's Dark Demon Eagle came out of Beast Taming Mountain, so my own bird needs an origin story that holds up. Bought casually off a shelf in Musan Market will do nicely. That night, alone in my immortal cave, a thought moves and the blackish-gray egg appears in front of me. I run my right hand over the shell and pour mana into it, feeding the life inside. This is the standard method for raising a black-winged eagle, and from this moment forward the bird will take me for its mother when it hatches, because my mana is what built it. Faintly I can feel how badly the life in there craves what I am giving it, well past what a normal black-winged eagle egg should want. That reassures me, because the Dark Demon Eagle bloodline is already making itself felt before the thing is even born. Of course, I can only read that difference because I already know what it is going to become. Another cultivator would find nothing strange here. A slightly stronger appetite for mana proves nothing on its own. Once a day I feed it, and in 6 months it will be ready to hatch. That is the whole schedule, and I am content to keep it. The next day I take a private room at one of the market's restaurants and send Guiyang Sim out with an errand. Half an hour later, a dignified female cultivator walks in looking distinctly nervous and greets me as Alchemist Wang Rim. She is Deputy Leader Yu Ryu of the Alchemist Alliance. In the second simulation, I had a few passing romantic entanglements with her, which means I know exactly what she is made of. Part of why I came to Musan Market at all is the Sanhei Secret Realm 10 years out, and groundwork of that size needs a trusted subordinate to run it for me. My first candidate was Alchemist Un, but I let that idea go after thinking it through, because his character is beyond reproach while most of his attention belongs to the Un family alchemy shop. Yu Ryu was the name I landed on instead, since she ran the Alchemist Alliance across 2 whole simulations without a single serious mishap. I acknowledge her with a single sound and let her stand there. She asks carefully what I have called her here for. In her mind, I am a person who cannot be offended under any circumstance, since I hold Foundation Establishment Cultivation and a guest elder's seat in the Alchemy Hall. That puts me above even the Foundation Establishment Alliance leader standing behind her. Alliance leader Boo is a tier 2 alchemist too, but he has no guest elder's seat, and everyone involved knows what that gap is worth. So I tell her plainly that I am preparing to establish a Chamber of Commerce here, and I ask whether she is interested. A Chamber of Commerce moves goods and treasures from one place to another and sells them where they are scarce, buying low and selling high. I noticed long ago that the resources on offer in Biorwal Immortal City beat what the market carries on both price and quality. If I open a trade route joining Biorwal Immortal City to Musim Market, I can lean on 2 simulations worth of knowledge about what the market runs short of and when. Shipping the shortage in ahead of time makes for a very comfortable living. The spirit stones are the smaller half of it though. What I actually want is a body of cultivators trained and loyal and already in position when the Sanhei secret realm opens 10 years from now. She repeats the words back at me, stunned, then hesitates and says she has already signed a spiritual contract with her alliance leader. I tell her not to worry, since her standing in my Chamber of Commerce will not sit below what she has now. If she performs, a Foundation establishment opportunity is not out of the question. A Foundation establishment opportunity, stripped of its grandeur, means a Foundation establishment pill and nothing more. For a bottom-rung loose cultivator, getting hold of one is like climbing into heaven, and even the lucky few who manage to buy one then have to survive keeping it. For me, they are ordinary, because I have several stable channels that supply them. If my alchemy breaks through, I could try refining one myself the way alchemist Joe Gann did in the second simulation. She repeats that phrase too, and I watch it land. No chi refining cultivator alive can turn down a Foundation establishment opportunity, and she does not doubt me for a second. A Foundation establishment cultivator and guest elder has no reason to bother deceiving her, and every ability to deliver. She gathers her courage and asks why I have taken a liking to her in particular. I tell her she suits my fancy, which is a reason I invent on the spot. The truth is that 2 simulations have shown me what she can do, and I do not want to waste my own energy running a Chamber of Commerce. She thinks about it for a moment, and then tells me her contract with the Alliance Leader expires in 2 months, and that she will serve me from that day. I stay in Musan Market for those 2 months, sign the spiritual contract with her, and only then go back to Bayerwall Immortal City. 4 months after that, I am sitting cross-legged on the 3rd floor of the Alchemy Tower in the inner city, and I lift my right hand slowly off the blackish-gray eagle egg. Half a year of mana has changed it visibly, and cracks are spreading across the shell. One of them splits open, and a black eagle's head pushes through. The shell breaks and a black bird the size of my palm crawls out. It is chubby, its black eyes rolling around until they lock onto me. Half a year of my mana every day means my aura is the first thing it knows, and it shoves itself against me at once, flapping wings that have no feathers worth the name. I open my right hand and the fat black fledgling climbs into my palm, tripping over itself, ridiculous and endearing at the same time. I sweep it with divine sense and confirm that its vitality runs far stronger than an ordinary black wind eagle's. The black wind eagle is a wind-type demon beast. The dark demon eagle is dark and wind both, with a bloodline rated at Earth grade. A newborn gives away nothing about its bloodline tier, but the vitality moving through this one is not something I can mistake. I am in a good mood about it. The Dark Demon Eagle falls into the short growth cycle category. A few decades of ordinary care and steady mining of its bloodline power will carry it into maturity, which is the Tier 2 Foundation establishment level. The cultivation world has plenty of long cycle demon beasts, turtle types among them, whose growth alone eats hundreds or thousands of years. Their ceiling is terrifying and their timeline outlives an Ascent Soul Immortal Master, which is exactly why I want nothing to do with them. The cost takes too long to recover, and too much can go wrong in between. It is entirely possible for a cultivator to end up buried by his own spirit pet, so I start raising the Dark Demon Eagle. Compared to a human cultivator, it is almost restful work, with no cultivation techniques to comprehend and no bottlenecks to break. I feed it, and I dig at the bloodline power inside it, and an Earth-grade bloodline does the rest on its own up to the Tier 2 Foundation establishment level. In the 10th year, I am 26, and a letter arrives from the mortal Jew family. Past the usual assurances that everyone is well, it is about Da Kun. My father, Ju Sejong, writes that Da Chun has not come home in months. Da Chun has been going into Musen Mountain on and off for years, but he has never stayed away longer than 2 months, and now it has been over half a year. My father is afraid for him. Musan Mountain is the first mountain range of the Real Kingdom, winding for thousands of miles thick with miasma and haunted by vicious beasts, a place mortals are forbidden to enter. The letter makes me suspicious too, because Dachin is loyal to the bone and would never disappear on purpose. I take out a transparent crystal holding a single drop of his essence blood. Cast is the medium of a spell. That drop tells me whether he lives and roughly where he is. It tells me he is not dead, which loosens something in my chest, since alive is a problem I can solve. But half a year of silence means he is in trouble. I settle the immortal city's affairs and set out for the mortal world to find out what kind. A month later, I stand in the clouds above Musan Mountain and look down at it. I try to fix his location through the essence blood and run straight into interference I cannot name. So all I learn is that he is somewhere inside the range. I go into search, and the whole of Musan Mountain turns out to be only loosely connected to the world outside it. A natural grand formation covers the entire range, and going deeper would strand even a Foundation establishment cultivator. I weigh it and pull back out. I circle the range for a while, casting through the essence blood over and over, and everything points to Dashun being somewhere sealed off from the outside. That reminds me of the Sanhei secret realm. In the second simulation, I planted 3 tracking secret arts on Yobong. The instant he stepped into the Sanhei secret realm, every one of them went dead, leaving me able to feel he existed and nothing more. Outside the simulation, I rubbed my chin and turned the possibility over. Dachin may have stumbled into a secret realm, which in this world is one of the great strokes of luck available to anyone. A secret realm is a small world standing apart from ours, holding the shape and the air of the ancient era, dense with spiritual chi and heavy with resources. Obscure loose cultivators have wandered into one and come out decades later with cultivation transformed, and a real shot at becoming an immortal master. 3 simulations of careful grinding management on my part probably have not produced what Dakun collected by falling into a hole. I am not too proud to admit I envy him. Of course, a secret realm is only my guess, and there are other possibilities, including falling somewhere lethal. I doubt that one. Given what Dakin can do in the simulation, if he had dropped into a place dangerous enough that even I cannot locate him, he would not have lasted this long. I file Musan Mountain away as something to focus on in the next simulation. In the 11th year, I am 27, and after returning to the Immortal City, I go back to cultivating hard, casting the Essence Blood spell once a month to confirm Dachin is still breathing. In the 12th year, I am 28, and Alchemist Jogan reaches Tier 2 mid-grade, so I go to congratulate him. He has never looked down on me, and over the years we have gotten along well. 2 guest elders of the Alchemy Hall and 2 Tier 2 alchemists. 1 step apart and not much more. In the 13th year, I am 29, and 3 years have passed since Dachun vanished into Musan Mountain. 3 years of monthly spells confirming he is alive. I spend another few months traveling back to the mortal Musan Mountain and come home with nothing again. In the 14th year, I am 30. My alchemy reaches the peak of Tier 2 low grade and jams against a bottleneck I cannot break for a long stretch. In the 15th year, I am 31, and I pour most of my energy into Talisman Dao instead, carrying it up into Tier 1 high grade. In the second half of that year, a dignified female cultivator arrives in Byorwol Immortal City. It is Deputy Leader Yu Ryu, come to report on the Chamber of Commerce and hand over its profits. She stops in front of an alchemy tower, tells a young female cultivator what she wants, and waits patiently for permission to see me. While she waits, she watches the line of cultivators outside the tower, all of them here for pills from Alchemist Wang Rim. In her own head, she stopped calling me Alchemist a while ago and started calling me President. 5 or 6 years of working for me have made her a believer. When I established the Chamber of Commerce and opened the route from Byorwol Immortal City to Musim Market, she braced herself for 10 or 20 years of painful work. Making a Chamber of Commerce turn a profit is not simple, and the Foundation Establishment cultivators of Byorwol Immortal City are not fools. If spirit stones were that easy to pull out of the air, they would not have been standing by watching. Instead, at every critical node, my reminders put her exactly where the money was about to be. In the first year, I had her hoard life-saving talismans in advance, and not long after, the largest talisman shop in Musan Market lost its supply and the market ran dry. Other shops moved fast and brought stock in from elsewhere, but not fast enough to stop her from clearing a profit that steadied the whole operation. Every year since, my advanced guidance has had her holding the right goods at the right moment, and the Chamber of Commerce went from newborn to stable to genuinely profitable. The way she reads it, without my guidance at the critical moments, even a Foundation Establishment backer with an Alchemy Hall seat would have struggled to keep the doors open. The young female cultivator who went in to announce her comes back out smiling and waves her through. Yu Ryu follows at once, crosses the courtyard, climbs to the second floor of the Alchemy Tower, and finally stands in front of me, where she bows and greets me as president. She prefers that title to alchemist, since I am the true owner of the Chamber of Commerce, and she is only the one running it. The years of profit have not been thin for her either. I ask her how the Chamber of Commerce is doing. My real confidence in founding it never came from commercial talent. It came from knowing every event that will occur in Musan Market for decades to come, which amounts to foresight. First simulation or second, I spent most of my life inside that market. She hands over a storage pouch and tells me it holds the past year's profit. I open it, scan it briefly and nod. Spirit stones make up the bulk of it, over 6,000 of them. The rest is alchemy materials, talisman-making materials, and a long tail of other resources, so the total sits close to 10,000 spirit stones. That figure is pure profit. Every cost has already come out of it, and what reached my hands is what is left, in a single year. Unlike most cultivators who found a Chamber of Commerce, I did not build mine only to make money. I built it to raise cultivators of my own, so I am not stingy with what my people are paid, and a slice of the operating budget goes straight into their treatment. The point is to have a body of trained cultivators ready to go into the Sanhei secret realm the moment it opens. I put the pouch away and tell her to give me the full picture. She reports that the Chamber of Commerce holds 48 core members, 20 at early stage chi refining, 18 at middle stage, and 10 at late stage. All of them have been tested repeatedly, and all of them are trustworthy, and another 183 sit on the periphery. Then her tone turns careful, and she brings up Yobong, the one I asked her to watch, and reports that he is apprenticing under Alchemist Un with nothing unusual about him. I listen without interrupting. I set that watch because I am afraid my own existence will kick off a butterfly effect and get him killed by accident. Compared with the second simulation, everything I touch now carries weight because I am Foundation Establishment and because I founded a Chamber of Commerce that has already redrawn the basic shape of Muson Market. So Yobong's movements matter enormously to me, and the instant a variable appears around him, I will reach in from behind the curtain, smooth it out, and put him back on the rails. The rails mean one thing only, which is that he enters the Sanhei secret realm at exactly the right moment. Her report says my footprint has not touched him, and his life is unfolding the same way it did the first 2 times. She works through the remaining details and prepares to head back to Muson Market. Before she goes, I hand her a bottle of medicinal pills suited to a late-stage chi refining cultivator making a breakthrough. Pills like that are scarce on the open market and trivial for a Tier 2 alchemist to produce. She is visibly moved, and somewhere behind her eyes she decides to serve me until she dies. In the 16th year I am 32, and I keep working at the Tao of Talismans. With my alchemy locked against a bottleneck, I would rather push my talisman Tao toward Tier 2 than sit still. A Tier 2 talisman master carries less prestige than a Tier 2 alchemist, but is nobody's afterthought, and the work lets me build trump card talismans for my own use. In the 17th year, I am 33, sitting cross-legged in the courtyard while the dark demon eagle, now 1.5 feet tall, presses itself against my side. Careful raising has brought it up fast, into the middle grade of Tier 1, which puts it level with an ordinary middle-stage chi refining cultivator. As a flying demon beast, its speed leaves cultivators of the same tier far behind. With the height advantage on top of that, even a late-stage chi refining cultivator might not be able to handle it. Chi refining cultivators can fly using magical artifacts, but speed and agility are not something an artifact grants, and the sky belongs to the eagle. I name it Little Black. Watching it, I estimate that 20 years at the outside will carry this dark demon eagle naturally into the Tier 2 level. Chunhua comes over, sees Little Black crouched at my side, and immediately leans in to call it a magnificent black eagle. I have taken to letting Little Black out for walks over the past year or two, so both maids, Chunhua and Chual, have seen it. So have a steady stream of cultivators queuing for pills and several other guest elders of the Alchemist Alliance. The exposure is deliberate. I am raising the Dark Demon Eagle to have an absolutely loyal Foundation Establishment spirit pet, but also to sell it at a good price in my later years. The more people who know I own one, the more doors are open when that time comes. Hiding it away as a secret weapon does not suit my situation, and my actual trump cards are elsewhere. Chunhua strokes Little Black's head and says, curious, that this Black-Winged Eagle does not feel like the other Black-Winged Eagles. Birewol Immortal City holds a bit of everything, so she has seen plenty of them, and every one of them struck her as a lesser creature than this. Little Black's whole bearing is different, and she can tell. I smile and let the remark pass without adding to it. My status and my strength are enough to keep a Dark Demon Eagle safe now. An Earth-grade bloodline walks into Foundation Establishment without much trouble, but the core formation bottleneck is another matter, and the odds there are not good. Demon beasts lean on their bloodline by instinct and grow more easily than human cultivators, which is precisely why the shackles of that bloodline bite harder when a real breakthrough is required. For now, nobody outside my own head knows Little Black is a Dark Demon Eagle. They only feel that something about it is off the scale. In the 18th year, I am 34, and I sense that I have already cultivated to the peak of the second level of Foundation Establishment. Ever since my spiritual root shifted to medium grade, my speed has climbed noticeably. I start preparing for every part of the breakthrough so that when I attempt it, it lands. In the 19th year, I am 35 and I make the attempt at the third level of Foundation Establishment, and I step into it cleanly. The Sanhei art I cultivate supplies enormous mana, so even at the third level my frontal combat strength is not below an ordinary middle stage Foundation Establishment cultivator. I am strong and I am in high spirits, and I look off toward the Sanhei secret realm and think about the year ahead of me. With this strength, with my groundwork laid, with a force of my own already planted inside Muson Market, the opening of that secret realm is going to make me rich. Outside the simulation, I sit with the named true person Hyole for a while. Plotting against the Sanhei secret realm means going through him, and in more ways than one, he is the thing I am plotting for. A core formation true person is not to be dismissed even when his physical body and his golden core have been ground down to a single wisp of essence soul. The memories alone, centuries of them, are treasure past pricing. On top of that, I am counting on getting the core formation chapter of the Sanhei art out of him. That chapter holds the method for condensing the Sanhei Dao body, a point he stressed hard enough that its importance needs no argument. In the third simulation, I started at Foundation Establishment and joined the Alchemy Hall, and I built my own web of connections out of it. 10 or 20 years inside that web gathered me a great deal of intelligence on the Sanhei sect, and on the Sanhei sect master and true person Hyole in particular. The two of them stumbled into the ruins of the ancient Sanhei lineage when they were young, and carried a great many legacies out of it. Same legacy, same master honored inside those ruins, which makes them fellow disciples in every way that counts. The sect master took the orthodox Sanhei lineage road, while true person Hyole took the far more extreme Hyole legacy inside it. Both of them became core formation true persons, then ended up on opposite sides of a woman, fought each other savagely, and died along with the Sanhei sect a little over 200 years ago. I would love to know what kind of beauty was worth all that. I put true person Hyole's cultivation somewhere below the middle stage of core formation, most likely early stage. I never obtained precise intelligence on it, but the deduction is not hard. A core formation true person has a lifespan of 500 years. He has been sealed inside the Sanhei secret realm for 2 or 3 centuries, and in the second simulation he spent more than 60 years guiding me. After a successful possession, he would still need a few decades of lifespan left to recover with. Even at the pace a heavenly spiritual root allows, Foundation Establishment at 40 and Core Formation at 90, that leaves him 50 years at most of actual cultivation at the Core Formation stage. 50 years is very hard ground to cross into the middle stage from, heavenly spiritual root or not. Past Core Formation, the weight of spiritual root aptitude drops away, and what matters is the depth of the foundations underneath. Inside the simulation again, I step into the third level of Foundation Establishment and pull dozens of talismans out of my storage pouch with a thought. Every one of them is a sealing talisman, and the 2 best have reached Tier 3 low grade. For the past 10 years or so, I have been working auctions under a rotation of identities, buying up sealing type talismans wherever they surfaced. And this spread in front of me is the harvest. They are for true person Hyole, all of them. A sealing talisman seals objects, and objects here could be living or dead, and a Tier 3 one can in theory seal and suppress the golden core of a core formation true person outright. His physical body and golden core are worn to nothing, and only a wisp of essence soul is left. The Sanhei ring still holds a residue of sealing power of its own, and I have stacked this many talismans on top of both. That is as close to foolproof as this world allows. Even if he has beaten my estimate and sits at the middle stage of core formation, a wisp of essence soul cannot do much against a wall of sealing talismans. And I am in the dark where he cannot see me, since he does not know I exist at all, so an ambush at the decisive moment leaves him even less room to fight back. I tell myself I hope this goes smoothly, because everything that could be done in advance, I have already done to the limit. If a variable I did not plan for shows up anyway, I simply come again in the next simulation. My simulation attempts are infinite, which amounts to an unlimited restart, and true person Hyole has nowhere in the world to run. I put the sealing talismans away and take out Dakun's drop of essence blood again to ask the only question that matters, which is whether he is still alive. The spell says he is. Years of casting it at intervals have let me build up a picture of Yu Mountain from the answers. The fact that Dachin has been trapped in there for years and is still breathing convinces me more each time that Yu Mountain holds enormous secrets and enormous opportunity. Half a year later, with the Sanhei secret realm about to open, I set out for Musan Market. I obviously cannot say out loud that I know a secret realm is coming, so my stated reason is an inspection of the Chamber of Commerce. The Chungwan Chamber of Commerce I founded runs between Bayer Wall and Mortal City and Musan Market year-round. An owner checking his operation in person so that nobody cheats him is the most ordinary thing in the world. When I arrive, Yu Ryu and the rest of the management walk me through the operational details with the usual nervousness. While they talk, I notice that the spiritual chi of the whole market is being pulled faintly toward the center, so faintly that an ordinary Foundation Establishment cultivator would miss it entirely. I ask her how the immortal cave inns in the market are doing. She answers immediately that the Guyang family announced a few days ago that the market's formation needed adjustment, so they have suspended all immortal cave rentals. I let that sit and turn it over. Put together, the closed inns in the drifting spiritual vein tell me that the Guyang family's Foundation Establishment cultivator, Market Master Guyang Shin, is striking at a bottleneck right now. No ordinary cultivation session needs that much spiritual chi. Only a breakthrough does, and not an ordinary one either. He has been at the middle stage of Foundation Establishment for decades, so a production on this scale can only mean he is going for late stage, and he fails. I know he fails because if he had stepped into late stage in either of my first 2 simulations, I would have heard about it. A late stage Foundation Establishment cultivator is called a Great Foundation Establishment cultivator, and Guyang Shin would have announced it from every rooftop in the region. That also finally explains something that puzzled me twice over, which is why the Guyang family sitting right next to the Sanhei secret realm did absolutely nothing when it opened. He blew the breakthrough, took the backlash, and needed years of recovery, so a secret realm on his doorstep was not his problem. I leave the man to his breakthrough and wait quietly inside the Chongwon Chamber of Commerce stronghold. 2 months later, something shifts, and I turn my head toward the Sanhei secret realm because I know it is opened. For every other cultivator alive, this is the first opening in 200 or 300 years. For me, it is the fourth. The first 2 times, all I could do was watch. In the second simulation, I knew the exact hour it would open and still did not dare touch it, so I picked the softest target available and put my attention on Yobong instead. This time I am prepared down to the last talisman, and with foundation establishment cultivation behind me, even if I cannot swallow the whole secret realm, I am certainly taking a slice of it. Half a day in, Yuryu finds me and reports quietly that a secret realm has appeared. I let a flicker of surprise cross my face, make a show of thinking about it, and then order every cultivator of the Chamber of Commerce summoned and sent to it. She withdraws to make the call. I leave the stronghold, clear the market town, ride my escape light up into the clouds, and race for the Sanhei secret realm. Soon I am hanging above it, looking at a gray vortex suspended between 2 enormous stone pillars, breathing out an ancient vastness from an age long gone. This place belonged to the Sanhei sect and dates back to the ancient era. It was only discovered a few centuries ago by the Sanhei sect master, who fixed the passage in place and made it into his own lair. I study the vortex carefully from the clouds. Foundation establishment eyes see far more of it than chi refining eyes ever did. The gray vortex is a spatial entrance at its core. Left alone, it would never surface and would stay buried deep in space. A golden core immortal master pinned it open with tremendous magical power and turned it into a stable doorway his disciples could walk through. That tells me the Sanhei sect master held golden core cultivation and almost certainly reached the 3rd rank in the Tao of formations, because nothing less makes a spatial passage this steady. My own formation knowledge in this simulation is still low grade, but even at low grade I can feel how far beyond ordinary this vortex is. What I cannot work out is why a formation master of that caliber died before true person Hyolhei did. The answer sits inside what true person Hyolhei himself let slip before the possession in the last simulation. The Sanhei sect master could not finish him off before dying, so he settled for sealing the remaining soul inside the Sanhei ring and letting the secret realm in the centuries grind it away. So the sect master went first. Cultivators are already converging. I can feel chi refining auras coming in from every direction, and I make no move to stop them, partly because stopping them is impossible. The spiritual chi surge thrown off by the Sanhei secret realm's appearance is plain for miles in every direction and cannot be masked. Short of reaching golden core someday and sealing the gray vortex shut in advance with real power, I have no way to control whether this thing shows itself. More and more of them arrive, and many walk straight into the vortex and are teleported inside. I watch from above and feel no desire whatsoever to go in myself. Chi refining cultivators are a thought's work for me now, but I have no idea whether there are places inside dangerous enough to kill a Foundation establishment cultivator. In the second simulation, I had Vice Alliance Master Yu Ryu gather information on the secret realm for me. Secondhand reporting is not the same as walking the ground, so I cannot guarantee my own safety. It was the Sanhei sect's own lair, and having just concluded that its master reached the 3rd rank in formations, I am even less willing to gamble my body on it. Besides, I built the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce and trained all these subordinates for exactly this occasion. Let them go in. I wait outside, hold off every other chi refining cultivator with my presence alone, and collect. Safe and profitable. Yu Ryu comes up beside me on her magical artifact right about then, and a large body of cultivators follows and settles in front of the entrance. More than 100 of the Chongwon Chamber of Commerce stand in formation, waiting on my word. She asks quietly whether we should seal the secret realm now. Everyone gathered around it is chi refining and could not resist a sweep by the Chamber of Commerce for a moment, so her instinct is to shut the door and take everything inside for ourselves. I shake my head and tell her not to seal it. It is not that I do not want to, it is that news of a secret realm spreads outward the longer it stays open, and the crowd only grows. Force the door shut now and the backlash is immediate, because every chi refining cultivator locked out will go straight to his friends, and sooner or later that noise reaches Foundation establishment ears. In both previous simulations, the opening of the Sanhei secret realm drew several Foundation establishment cultivators, though that came later, in the middle and closing stages. So instead I tell her to guard the exit, and that every cultivator walking out surrenders 50% of what they carry. Letting them in and taxing the way out is the decision this situation actually calls for. Half of a harvest is a number a chi refining cultivator can swallow, and letting others in is a decision I am making with Yopong in mind. I still do not know where inside the secret realm the Sanhei ring holding true person Hyolhei sits, and I need him to go in and carry it out for me. Yu Ryu acknowledges the order and drops down to pass it along, More than 100 Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce cultivators take up positions at the exit. Under her arrangement, a portion of them go inside to explore, while the rest stand at the mouth and take half of everything from everyone who leaves. The resistance starts immediately. Going into a secret realm is lethally dangerous work and plenty of people never come back out, so being taxed half of everything after surviving it strikes the crowd as robbery. Voices go up asking why they should hand over anything, telling us to go explore it ourselves if we are so capable, calling the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce overbearing. A late-stage chi-refining old man with a hard face rounds on the young cultivator beside him and tells him to shut his mouth if he does not want to die. The boy has been complaining loudest of all about how arrogant we are. The young one looks at his grandfather without understanding. The old man asks him, low, whether he has noticed that none of the other late-stage chi-refining cultivators are saying a word. The boy has no answer, so the old man steadies himself and tells him to look at the sky. He looks up. High in the clouds, a blurred figure stands on a blue escape light with wide sleeves stirring, looking down in silence. A spiritual pressure far past anything chi-refining rains down over all of them. The old man's voice shakes slightly as he explains that the Foundation Establishment President of the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce is already here. Being allowed in at all is a favor to loose cultivators like them. With a Foundation Establishment cultivator watching from that height, none of these lower cultivators will start anything. The cultivator world runs on no law at all, and a low cultivator who crosses a high one without backing simply dies, and that is the end of the matter. On top of that, the man looking down at them leads the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce and is rumored to have ties into Birewall Immortal City and connections everywhere. Killing a handful of chi-refining loose cultivators would cost him even less than usual. The old man has it exactly right. Any Foundation Establishment cultivator who found this secret realm would have sealed the entrance and taken everything, and letting them through the door is mercy by the standards of this world. 2 simulations have taught me that the Sanhei secret realm is far bigger than anyone imagines, and takes several years to strip properly, which is not a meal one man swallows. Sealing it would work against me on every front, and I need Yopong to go in and carry the Sanhei ring out. That is the whole reasoning behind the order, and after a short burst of chaos at the entrance, the loose cultivators fall in line and follow the Chamber of Commerce's arrangements without further argument. Not long after the Sanhei secret realm opens, I have the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce put up a new stronghold right beside it. It sells healing and life-preserving medicinal pills, along with talismans, magical artifacts, and anything else a man might want before walking into a secret realm. I want my share of the resources inside, and I also want the spirit stones of everyone exploring it, exactly as I did in the second simulation. That place is enormous. The cultivators pouring into it are going to spend the next few years killing each other over it, and selling critical supplies into that as the purest seller's market there is. The difference this time is scope. In the second simulation I sold medicinal pills. Now I sell everything a secret realm run consumes. The Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce has been running for almost 10 years, and stockpiling on my orders for several of them. All of it aimed at this day. By my count, a month from now Ward of the Secret Realm will have saturated Musan Market. When it reaches Yobong, he will walk out on his apprenticeship under Alchemist Un and come here to gamble. Information travels with a lag. You Ryu could tell me the instant it opened only because the Chamber of Commerce has reach, while the low and middle level cultivators still inside Musan Market have no idea anything has happened. It will not spread fully until the survivors start coming out and talking about it a month from now. What I want is for nothing unexpected to happen, and I know perfectly well I have no right to expect that. I have moved a great deal in this simulation, and set off butterfly effects I cannot fully track. Intercepting the Dark Demon Eagle Egg gutted the future of Wan Ho, a man originally fated to reach Foundation Establishment, founding the Cheongwon Chamber of Commerce, growing it to scale inside Musan Market, and now half-owning the mouth of this secret realm, are all things that never happened in the first 2 runs. Yobong's trajectory has held so far since he did become Alchemist Un's apprentice on schedule. Holding so far is not a guarantee that he will conceive the same idea of gambling on a secret realm that he conceived twice before. Even knowing that, I do not regret a single move. I am not going to surrender clearly defined gains just to keep one man's fate on rails. Yopong's chief value is carrying the Sanhei ring out of the Sanhei secret realm, and even that is not strictly essential to me. Suppose the soul of true person Hyole inside that ring does fall into my hands. I still cannot promise I could search it and pull out both the core formation chapter of the Sanhei art and those centuries of memory. I sit at the early stage of Foundation establishment right now. Against the soul of a core formation true person, I have enough to keep myself alive, without any clarity about what I would actually walk away with. Trading certain profit for uncertain profit is not a bargain I make. Beyond that, with my status and my cultivation, if Yopong decides against going in, I have a dozen ways to make him go in anyway. And above all of it, I can simulate again. If this run fails, the next one or the one after it will not. More than 10 days pass. The first wave of cultivators starts coming back out of the secret realm, and most of them carry the smell of blood. There has clearly been killing inside, and almost every one of them is wounded. Yuryu comes to me with excitement all over her face and hands, over a storage pouch holding what the Chamber of Commerce's own cultivators brought back. I glance through it and cannot stop myself from reacting. There is mysterious yin grass in there, and twin flower, and a piece of tier 3 spirit wood. That tells me something I only guessed at last time. The 3 main ingredients of the Foundation Establishment pill are mysterious yin grass, twin flower, and mysterious yang fruit. The mother plants of all 3 must be growing stably somewhere inside the Sanhei secret realm. Stable production of those 3 means a steady supply of Foundation Establishment pills, which means a sect that holds them never has a gap in its Foundation Establishment combat power. I have no intention of trying to raise the mother plants myself, because they are brutally difficult to cultivate and eat more energy and manpower than any individual can justify. Only a major sect has the foundation for that kind of work. The mood I am in is excellent. The haul from one wave of my own cultivators is hard to even price in spirit stones. Ingredients like mysterious yin grass are monopolized by the great powers, and spirit stones alone will not buy them. On top of that comes the cut taken from the loose cultivators, and taken together it leaves me thoroughly satisfied. A few more days pass, and Yuryu comes to me with a solemn face and tells me quietly to look at this. I take the storage pouch, probe it with divine sense, and my expression shifts, because what is inside is a magic treasure embryo. An embryo like that can grow into a true magic treasure, and magic treasures are what core formation true persons fight with, weapons that move mountains and fill in seas. Chi refining and Foundation Establishment cultivators fight with magical artifacts, and even the high-grade and top-tier artifacts belong exclusively to Foundation Establishment. Once a cultivator reaches Immortal Master, no artifact can carry his power any longer. Only a magic treasure can express the full strength of an Immortal Master, and a strong one lifts that strength higher still. There are said to be spirit treasures above magic treasures, but that tier is nothing I have any business coveting yet. She tells me the embryo was found in the secret realm by a middle-stage chi-refining loose cultivator. The way she lowers her voice makes it obvious she is asking what to do about the man. I look the embryo over for a while and tell her to bring him to me. She returns before long with a middle-aged man at the 5th level of chi refining, anxious to the point of shaking. He bows deeply the moment he sees me and offers me every treasure he owns without waiting to be asked. A young cultivator who had never been beaten by this world might still be daydreaming about what he could trade a find like that for, might even try to negotiate. This man has lived long enough to know that a low cultivator standing in front of a Foundation Establishment superior has no negotiating position whatsoever. A superior who kills him takes everything he owns regardless, so there is nothing left to negotiate over. All he is doing right now is praying I let him live. I tell him none of that is necessary because I know exactly what is going through his head. Killing him would profit me more in the short run, and with my status and strength there is no reason to do it. In this simulation I am deliberately building a credit rating, and when I am old I intend to see whether there is a chance to cash it in. A magic treasure embryo is worth a few thousand spirit stones and nothing more, which is not enough to make murder worthwhile under my true identity. It is also not a magic treasure yet, and raising it into one costs a great deal of time and effort. So I smile at the trembling man and tell him his find is a magic treasure embryo worth about 4,000 spirit stones on the open market. After the 50% cut, I will hand him 2,000, and I ask him whether that suits him. He gapes at the number, genuinely stunned that a Foundation Establishment superior would follow his own rules. Then he thanks me over and over and looks ready to drop to his knees, because 2,000 spirit stones is a fortune to a middle-stage cultivator. I tell Ryu to take him down and pay him, and she does. The man collects his spirit stones and immediately tells his friends about it. It travels mouth to mouth, and soon the whole crowd outside the secret realm is talking about how the leader of the Chungwan Chamber of Commerce is decent to lower cultivators. They say he opened the entrance and traded by the posted rules, and that this world would be a better place if every superior in it behaved that way. Once that settles, their appetite for exploring the secret realm grows sharply, because the fear of surviving a great opportunity only to be robbed of it at the door has largely gone. Their reaction pleases me. This is how a reputation gets built, and in the cultivation world, even rogues and evil cultivators would rather deal with a man of good name. Consider why Master Bayerwall stands so high among loose cultivators. He speaks up for lower cultivators and hands out opportunities to them. Bayerwall Immortal City became the largest gathering place for loose cultivators in the Taewon region, on the back of that name, hundreds of thousands passing through it daily. Another 10 days or more slide by before my attention snags on a young cultivator arriving at the secret realm entrance, 3rd level of chi refining, and it is Yopong. I am privately delighted. He has not drifted far from his fated trajectory after all, standing outside the secret realm at the same point in the same year. I do not dare look at him directly in case the pressure spooks him, so I track him from the edge of my vision. He is fired up at the sight of the place. To get here, he borrowed dozens of spirit stones from friends and blew up his relationship with Alchemist Un. Since he tore up his own apprenticeship, no other artisan in the market will take him now, even if Alchemist Un never lifts a finger against him. He has bet his entire future on this hole in the world. Then he learns the terms, that the Cheongwan Chamber of Commerce owns the ground here and takes 50% of everything, and the name alone makes his heart lurch. He has lived in Musan Market long enough to know exactly what kind of colossus he is standing under. The leader of the Cheongwan Chamber of Commerce is not only a Foundation establishment superior, but a high-level alchemist. Market Master Guiyang Shin himself has come by more than once to talk and laugh at the man. That is not a person Yobong is in any position to measure himself against. So he pays the toll honestly, follows the rules, and walks into the secret realm. I watch the gray vortex swallow him, spatial fluctuations rippling out of it, and the instant he crosses, the tracking secret technique I planted on him loses his position entirely. It feels exactly like standing outside Yu Mountain and reaching for Dakun. 22 days from now he will come back out, and not through the entrance either. He will be spat out of empty air several miles away. I know the shape of everything about to happen because I ran this play in the second simulation, so I settle into the clouds and let the days pass. While I wait, the Chamber of Commerce cultivators keep coming out with hauls that impress even me. One of them brings up a pure white medicinal pill that turns out to be a Tier 3 beauty preservation pill. To a male cultivator, a beauty preservation pill is close to worthless. To certain female cultivators, it is worth more than any pile of gold that could be stacked in front of them. A Tier 3 one holds a core formation true person's appearance for hundreds of years, which is not a thing a vain female immortal master can refuse. This one has sat for centuries and lost some of its potency, so I'd put it at about 100 years of a true person's face. Even discounted like that, its value clears the magic treasure embryo comfortably. Plenty of female immortal masters would pay above market for it. A key main ingredient of the beauty preservation pill cannot be cultivated anywhere in the Taiwan region, and Tier 3 ones have all but vanished from circulation. The 22nd day arrives. I go early to the exact spot where Yobong was thrown out of the secret realm in the second simulation, and wait there. Even if he lands somewhere else this time, the moment he leaves the secret realm's isolation he becomes traceable again, and 100 miles of running will not get him away from me. A few hours later, space twists faintly not far off, and a figure drops out of it. It is Yobong. His aura so low it has almost fallen out of the early stage of chi refining. He is badly hurt and completely elated, because only he knows how enormous his haul from that secret realm is, and he is certain now that the rest of his cultivation road runs downhill. He is still thinking about the Cheongwan Chamber of Commerce that dominates the entrance, telling himself that one day he might stand where its leader stands, or even higher. He never finishes the thought. I come up behind him without a sound and lay my right hand on his head, and his awareness drops into the dark, before he can turn, and he folds onto the ground. I do not kill him, I only put him deep under, because to me a living Yopong is worth far more than a dead one. In the first simulation he went from the 3rd level of chi refining to the 9th level at perfection in a little over 30 years. He did it while cultivating the Sanhei art, a top-tier technique that fights every step of progress. That kind of pace means he has talent in some other direction. Spiritual root is only the most common talent this world measures, and beyond it lie treasure physiques, Tao physiques, innate physiques, and others besides. The common kinds are everywhere and cap out low, while the rare kinds are almost never seen and sit on a terrifyingly high floor. Even the worst treasure physique or Tao physique matches an earthly spiritual root. I also want his memories, specifically what happened after he entered the Sanhei secret realm, and where exactly he found the Sanhei ring. All of that needs him breathing so I can search his soul for it. In the second simulation, I was only middle stage chi refining and terrified of drowning in a puddle, so I killed him fast rather than leave a variable alive. This time I am Foundation Establishment, and he is early stage chi refining, and I genuinely cannot construct the accident that beats me. My face goes serious, and I do not deal with him first. I go for a storage pouch. My mountain and sea chi pushes out, refines the pouch open in moments, and I take the unremarkable sky blue ring straight out of it. Without pausing, I produce a Tier 3 sealing jade box, set the ring inside, shut the lid, and layer 5 sealing talismans over it. 2 of them Tier 3. Only then does my chest loosen, until I hold a method built specifically for the soul of a core formation true person. I have no intention of letting true person Hyole see my hand. Caution against an immortal master, even a soul thin one, has never once been the wrong choice. As for the core formation volume of the Sanhei art, I am early stage Foundation Establishment and core formation is a long way off, so there is no rush. I have plenty of lifespan left, and now that both the man and the ring are mine, I can take all the time I want. Only then do I look at the unconscious Yobong on the ground. I check that no other cultivators are anywhere nearby, load him into a large sack, sweep the traces off the scene as an afterthought, and carry him to a cave a few miles out. Soul searching needs quiet and no interruptions. Inside the cave, I lay him out and examine him carefully, and before searching anything, I want to know what talent he is actually carrying. I push mountain and sea chi through every inch of his body and run divine sense alongside it, and that double inspection at foundation establishment level finds what is unusual about him immediately. His bones are not a normal cultivator's bones. They are deep blue, and behind the blue I can almost see endless water attribute spiritual chi. Water attribute. A water spirit treasure physique. His deep blue bones match the recorded description of a water spirit treasure physique almost line for line. It is still dormant in him, unawakened, which is why he passes for ordinary. Once a water spirit treasure physique awakens, the blue is not confined to the bones, and flesh and blood and organs all fill with water attribute spiritual chi of impossible purity. A body like that is naturally intimate with water and refines heaven and earth spiritual chi at a rate that rivals an earthly spiritual root. It also throws water attribute spells harder than anyone else at his level. A pity that he is a man. There are dual cultivation techniques that let a cultivator harvest the origin of a treasure physique or Tao physique to feed his own. The technique only works when the harvested body belongs to the opposite gender, since the whole mechanism turns on the circulation of yin and yang. Two male cultivators in a cave get nothing out of that particular door. What I can do is sell him through the black market to another faction for resources I actually want. A water spirit treasure physique cultivator is not in the same conversation as an ordinary earthly spiritual root cultivator. Whether a buyer wants him as a cauldron or as a successor to Raise, the price is extremely high. 20 years in Bayerwall Immortal City have given me connections everywhere, including the knowledge that the city's underside runs a black market for contraband resources nobody is allowed to sell in daylight. Even demonic cultivators leave footprints in that place. Beautiful female cultivators and cultivators of specific value change hands there regularly. As for whether selling him plants a knife in my back, some future success story coming home for revenge, there is nothing to worry about. From the first moment to this one, he has no idea who I am, and I would never step into that black market wearing my real identity. Even if he wants vengeance, there is nowhere for him to point it. I gather myself and begin the soul searching. I am foundation establishment and he is early stage chi refining, and across a realm gap that wide the memories I take will be seamless. He will carry no permanent injury out of it either. To be certain of missing nothing, I run a deep soul search rather than an ordinary one. My divine sense soaks steadily into a sea of consciousness, and his memories open in front of me, from infancy forward, whole and unbroken. He does have some steel in him, I will give him that. The memories show exactly how a farm boy from a mortal country ever got onto the cultivation road. He stumbled across a badly wounded cultivator, waited until the man was unconscious, killed him, took his things, walked away with a chi refining cultivation technique, and never looked back. I keep going, deeper, and reach the moment he entered the Sanhei secret realm. Inside, the world was dim and gray. He picked a direction at random and came out in front of a ruined palace complex, still held by restrictions that had weakened over centuries but had not fallen. Getting through them cost him horribly. Inside the palace, he found a broken statue and a few magical artifacts on a raised platform, and the Sanhei ring was not on the platform at all. It lay at the foot of the statue. He took the artifacts, then worked the medicine garden behind the palace and pulled out spirit medicines and spirit materials by the armful, including 2 of the main ingredients for the foundation establishment pill. Then he went back to the broken statue, picked up the sky blue ring, and reached out to examine the statue itself. He touched the restriction on it, and the next thing his eyes showed him was the sky outside the secret realm, and a heartbeat after that. My hand on his head. I stop the memory there and hold it on the broken statue inside the palace. What I am looking at genuinely shocks me. I study the statue as closely as the memory allows, which is not as closely as I would like. I am seeing it through his eyes and cannot run my own divine sense across it for more. Even secondhand, the statue is plainly extraordinary. It is broken, the entire left half shattered away, only the right half standing. The right palm faces upward, slightly cupped, and through the borrowed memory I can just make out that the cupped hand is holding something. Turning it over, I decide the statue has to be connected to the immortal master sect, master of the Sanhei sect. It is entirely possible the Sanhei ring was originally worn on the statue's left hand. What is not clear is what happened to shatter that left half and drop the sky blue ring to the statue's feet, where Yobong eventually picked it up. If the left hand wore the ring, then what is the right hand holding? I steady myself and think it through properly. The statue is dangerous in its own right, since it was the moment Yobong inspected it that a restriction triggered and threw him out of the secret realm entirely. That is the broken version of it. If the statue were whole and its power intact, I doubt he would have gotten off with nothing worse than a teleport. Whatever it is, I want it out of there now. I stand and leave the cave at once. Yopong stays where he is. The cave is deeply hidden, and before leaving I set measures both inside and outside it that will tell me the instant anything is disturbed. It sits under 10 miles from the secret realm, which at my speed is nothing. He is a cultivator regardless, so he is in no danger of starving in the time this will take. A moment later I am standing outside the Sanhei secret realm again, and Yu Ryu bows in front of me. I tell her to bring me a few cultivators from the Chamber of Commerce that she trusts. However unusual the statue is, I still have no intention of setting foot inside myself, and my people can carry it out for me. She withdraws and comes back before long with 4 late-stage chi refining cultivators, who bow respectfully, and she tells me all 4 are core members. Core member means something exact here. It means their Dao companions, their relatives, and their families all sit inside the Chamber of Commerce's control. It means every one of them has signed a spiritual contract whose binding force is savage, since breaking it brings a backlash that kills or cripples. The contract also carries the signer's mana imprint, which holds the unique divine soul aura of that cultivator. With an imprint like that in hand, I can cast curse-killing spells, fix their approximate location, and hunt them without end. Families held on the inside, contracts binding from the outside, and only then does a man become a core member and receive the Chamber's real trust. The benefits run the other way too. The Chamber of Commerce supplies their daily cultivation resources, and even arranges their Dao companions for them. What they are, stripped of the courtesy, is dead soldiers. For all the smooth growth of the Cheonwan Chamber of Commerce over these years, I have only managed to raise a few dozen of them. I tell the 4 of them to go into the secret realm, reach a specific place, and bring the statue out. I take a blank white jade slip and imprint it with the route to the palace, everything the soul search gave me about the inside of it, and the look of the statue. Then I toss it to them. They accept without a flicker of hesitation. Then I warn them that the statue is half destroyed and almost certainly still carries residual restriction power. They are not to approach it directly, but to wear that power down with restriction-breaking talismans first, and I hand over 7 or 8 of them. A restriction-breaking talisman is a strange and specialized thing that eats away at formations and restrictions faster than anything else available. The ones I give them are Tier 2, which handles the power of most Tier 2 formation restrictions. The Immortal Master Sect Master of the Sanhei Sect stood high in the Tao of formations. No matter how high a man stands, what he leaves behind loses most of its teeth to a few centuries of erosion. And Tier 2 is more than enough. On top of those, I give them several Tier 2 offensive talismans, each of which releases an attack equal to the first level of Foundation establishment. I do not want 4 of my people cornered by a mob of loose cultivators. Last, I hand them a token that stands for the Cheonwan Chamber of Commerce, and for my own face, to be produced if a siege ever gets past the offensive talismans. The Cheonwan Chamber of Commerce remains the largest force operating inside that secret realm, and with its Foundation establishment leader standing personally at the exit, it is hard to imagine anyone moving on my cultivators. They cannot stay in there forever. Over the last 10 days or so, Gaiyang family cultivators from Musen Market have indeed gone in to explore. Market Master Gaiyang Shin blew his breakthrough, took the backlash, and is almost certainly hiding inside the market formation without the nerve to come out, so his people have no appetite for touching mine. The 4 acknowledge the orders gravely, and I tell them to go. I watch them cross into the secret realm and settle in to wait. With a route this clear, they should be out fast unless something goes wrong. And everything I handed them is insurance against a worst case that I do not expect. 4 late-stage chi refining cultivators moving together, wearing the name of the Cheonwan Chamber of Commerce, is not a target any loose cultivator is going to entertain ideas about. Several days pass before the gray vortex throws off spatial ripples and the 4 of them walk back out. They come to me, produce a storage pouch, and report respectfully that what I asked for is inside. I probe it with divine sense. My talismans are all in there. 2 restriction-breaking ones spent and the rest untouched and returned in full, and beside them lies the broken statue. Its remaining right hand is slightly cupped, and in the palm I can make out a crystal and jade stone. I go over the statue carefully, confirm that it is now a statue and nothing more, and lift the jade stone out of the palm. The stone looks genuinely ancient. I run divine sense across it slowly, and after a moment I find myself smiling. Recorded inside it is the legacy of the Sanhei sect, the complete Sanhei art, including the core formation chapter I never had. All of it sitting there. Outside the simulation, I take a moment to enjoy how little that cost me. My whole reason for scheming after the essence soul of true person Hyohei was the core formation portion of the Sanhei art, with the immortal master's centuries of memory a distant second. That portion is what my entire Tao depends on, the map for everything above where I stand. I have never encountered a cultivation technique better than the Sanhei art. This ancient lineage technique carries too many advantages to walk away from, its only real flaw being how hard it is to cultivate. Short of absolute necessity, I was never going to switch. Honestly, I never rated my chances of getting that chapter out of him. Even if the essence soul fell into my hands intact, a golden core immortal master reduced to a wisp is still not something a foundation establishment cultivator can safely search. Trying it invites the soul to seize the opening and tear me up at the level of divine sense. And if I did not search him, was I supposed to take his word for what the core formation chapter contained? Even if he told me, I would not have dared believe it, because one buried trap in a cultivation technique cost me an entire simulation to unwind. Pulling the Sanhei art and the rest of the Sanhei sect's legacy out of the secret realm itself, without ever negotiating with him, finally lets me breathe. I settle down and keep watching the shifting characters. Inside the simulation, I stand with the jade stone in my hand, thinking, because the stone records more than techniques. It records how all of it ended. The Immortal Master Sect master of the Sanhei sect fought a golden core middle stage Immortal Master and came away savaged, and true person Hyolhei took the opening that injury gave him. Even in that state, the sect master used the Tier 3 Grand Formation left inside the secret realm to grind true person Hyolhei's physical body and golden core out of existence. Then his own wounds overtook him. With no time left to finish off the Essence Soul personally, he sealed it inside the Sanhei Ring and left the Grand Formation and the sentries to wear it down for him. That is how all of it went. He knew he was dying, and he knew true person Hyolhei had already slaughtered most of the Sanhei sect's disciples. Rather than let the legacy of the Sanhei sect be cut off completely, he left everything he had behind for whichever cultivator found it later. Something clearly went wrong in the years after, or else true person Hyolhei had contingencies of his own, because half the body of the statue that sealed the ring came apart at some point. The rough shape of it I can reconstruct. What annoys me is that the record never mentions the woman. Everything I gathered says the two of them, senior brother and junior brother of the same legacy, became mortal enemies over a female cultivator. The sect master's jade stone says not one word about her. After that, stripping the Sanhei secret realm proceeds in good order. 2 months later, a foundation establishment cultivator finally shows up. The closest foundation establishment power to the Sanhei secret realm is Musin Market, and Gaiyang Shin's strength collapsed with his failed breakthrough. Despite knowing about it early, he never came in person, and only pushed Gaiyang family chi refining cultivators to the door. Every other foundation establishment power sits at a real distance, and travel takes time. With news going out and confirmations coming back, the first of them does not arrive until 3 months after the opening. He greets me as alchemist Wang Rim and says he has long heard the name. He is a bearded man at the 4th level of foundation establishment, which is squarely middle stage and meaningfully stronger than early stage. Even so, he does not take me lightly, because I am foundation establishment, a tier 2 alchemist, and a member of the Bai Yorwol Immortal City Alchemy Hall. I greet him back as fellow Taoist Go. His name is Go Jack, and he is the foundation establishment old ancestor of the Go family. Go Jack trades pleasantries with me for a while before bringing up the secret realm below us. We talk it through and settle on letting our respective chi refining subordinates go in and work it, while the loose cultivators keep handing over 50% of everything they carry out. That 50% is split evenly between the two of us. After him, foundation establishment cultivators arrive one after another, and every one of them takes the rules Go Jack and I have already set. They push their own chi refining people through the door while they themselves sit outside and wait to be paid. That is what a secret realm looks like once the adults show up. In the 21st year, I am 37, and I quietly deposit Yobong back at the Chamber of Commerce stronghold in Musan Market. Before that, I deliberately erase his memories of everything immediately before and after he entered the secret realm. Rewriting or forging a lower cultivator's memories is genuinely difficult even for a foundation establishment cultivator, but destroying a segment outright, especially a recent one, is not hard at all. In the 22nd year, I am 38, and the excavation of the Sanhei secret realm has moved into its middle and late phase. By the 4th year, if the previous 2 simulations hold, the place will be hollow. In the 23rd year, I am 39, and the returns have visibly thinned. None of those 3 years cost me anything in cultivation, because my progress runs on consuming medicinal pills at high frequency. A man stationed outside a secret realm can swallow pills as easily as a man sitting in a cave. In the 24th year, I am 40. Once I am satisfied the place is stripped, I go back to Bayerwool Immortal City and have Yu Ryu run the Chamber of Commerce through the closing work. Then I take stock of 4 years. Set the Sanhei sect legacy aside for a moment. The spirit medicine, spirit materials, and magical artifacts pulled out of the secret realm alone come to more than 150,000 spirit stones in value. Add the 50% skimmed off the loose cultivators and the income from selling pills and artifacts at the door. 4 years of this secret realm have brought me close to 300,000 spirit stones. The entire net worth of a great foundation establishment cultivator at late stage does not reach that number. It was the Sanhei sect's own lair, but true person Hyohei wrecked it thoroughly once already. Centuries have leached the potency out of a great many of the ancient medicines, and the sect master carried the most precious things away before he died. What is actually left in a secret realm like that comes in below what a normal golden core level power holds. The real treasures of the Sanhei secret realm were the Sanhei legacy I now own, and the Sanhei ring, and everything else was change. Newly and suddenly rich, I start paying attention to core formation spiritual items, laying in supplies for an assault on the golden core stage, years before I will need them. In the 25th year I am 41, and alongside the Sanhei art I begin cultivating the various secret techniques inside the Sanhei legacy. In the 26th year I am 42, and my array Dao reaches tier 1 medium grade, which settles the question of my talent there. I am ordinary at arrays and I may as well admit it. In the 27th year I am 43, and I feel myself approaching the peak of the 3rd level of foundation establishment. In the 28th year I am 44, and I have reached it. In the 29th year I am 45, and I am still standing on it, with no sense whatsoever of a breakthrough coming, so I keep cultivating. In the 30th year I am 46, and the 4th level is still shut to me. I finally understand that I've walked into a shackle on my own road, because the 3rd to 4th level is the crossing from early stage foundation establishment into middle stage. A great many cultivators die of old age against that exact bottleneck. The shackles of a bottleneck are something every cultivator meets. The road is full of them, and most are small, like 1st level to 2nd or 2nd to 3rd. All of that sits inside the early stage of foundation establishment, the kind of obstacle time wears away on its own. Some bottlenecks time never touches. Plenty of early stage foundation establishment cultivators sit at the peak of the 3rd level until their vitality fails in old age and never once cross into the middle stage. Crossing a major bottleneck takes luck as much as anything, and some men stuck at that peak break through inexplicably after 2 or 3 years. Spiritual root aptitude carries enormous weight against chi refining and foundation establishment bottlenecks. A heavenly spiritual root cultivator meets no bottleneck at all across both stages and sails straight through. And only at core formation does he need to start paying attention. Soaking in the Beorwol pool lifted my own aptitude to medium grade, and a medium grade spiritual root is a slightly strained instrument at the foundation establishment level. That is why I lean on high-frequency medicinal pills to drag my speed up near what a high-grade spiritual root manages naturally. Nearly half of all foundation establishment cultivators hold high-grade aptitude. I decide to give it 2 more years and see. Medium grade or not, I am young, only 46, and a heavenly spiritual root cultivator typically reaches foundation establishment somewhere around 40. I am not only there, I am at the peak of the early stage. A foundation establishment cultivator's lifespan tops out at 240 years, and most of them clear 200, so by any honest reckoning I have time to spare. In the 31st year I am 47, and a piece of news I have been quietly watching for finally lands. Senior Wan Ho of Beast Taming Mountain has failed his breakthrough into the foundation establishment stage. He had a foundation establishment pill guarding his heart meridians, so he did not die on the spot, but his origin chi is severely damaged. In both previous simulations, he became a foundation establishment cultivator of Beast Taming Mountain and rode a dark demon eagle with an Earth-grade bloodline, a genuinely fearsome figure. In this one, I took the eagle out from under him. That single theft set off a chain of consequences, and the chain ends with a failed breakthrough. Honestly, his failure and his coming quiet death of old age are good news for me. At that auction, he clearly sensed something abnormal about the dark demon eagle egg, and when I outbid him, he looked destroyed. I cannot promise he would never recognize that egg, or the bird that hatched out of it. If he had climbed into foundation establishment, and then heard that alchemist Wang Rim keeps a dark demon eagle, that becomes a hidden danger even with no evidence attached to it. A man in that position starts telling himself he was bullied, that a foundation establishment senior leaned on him to keep him from bidding. The odds of it were never high. Low is not zero, and now that he will be gone within a few decades, the danger is gone with him. I tell him silently to go in peace, and I promise him that in the next simulation, the dark demon eagle egg will never reach the auction floor where he can see it at all. This run has let me memorize that egg's aura completely, so next time there is no reason to sit through an auction. I will take it from the Guion family before the bidding ever starts. I walk out into the courtyard of the alchemy tower and look at the dark demon eagle, over 3 feet tall now, its aura gone deep and heavy. It has grown into the late stage of the 1st rank, which puts it level with a late stage chi refining cultivator. In pure flight speed it holds its own against an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. Lately a fair number of foundation establishment cultivators have noticed the bird and started sounding me out about whether it might be for sale. I spend a while with Little Black, feeding the bond between us, and then I go down into the underground space beneath the alchemy tower. Above ground it has 3 floors. Below ground it has 1 more, better than 200 square yards of it, and in the middle of that room, Yobong sits inside a wooden barrel with his eyes shut. The barrel is full of a thick liquid heavy with water attribute spiritual chi, and he absorbs it without being told to. That is what a water spirit treasure physique does. No consciousness at all, and the body still drinks water, attributes spiritual chi on its own, and cultivates while its owner sleeps. More than a decade ago, I took him and found out what he was carrying. My plan then was to move him through the black market to some other power in exchange for core formation materials. Then the complete Sanhei sect legacy came into my hands, and inside it sat a secret technique for awakening a treasure physique ahead of schedule. His water spirit treasure physique is dormant, and a dormant one sells at a suppressed price, while a fully awakened one is worth a different order of money entirely. So for these 10 and more years, I have been nourishing him with the Sanhei sect's technique, and the awakening is nearly complete. He knows none of this. He has not woken once in all that time and has stayed comatose throughout. Even so, the automatic inhaling and exhaling of water attribute spiritual chi that comes with the awakening has carried his cultivation up to the 6th level of chi refining on its own. I look him over and put full awakening about a year out. In the 32nd year, I am 48, and I have been jammed against the peak of the 3rd level of foundation establishment for 3 years, with no sense of it opening anywhere. I am now certain I am not one of those absurdly lucky men who trips over a major bottleneck and falls through it in 3 or 4 years. My thoughts move, and I take out a medicinal pill, a Tier 2 medium-grade breakthrough pill. It is the exact thing made to push a foundation establishment cultivator across the shackle from early stage into middle stage. A breakthrough pill is a precious resource, expensive and rarely on the open market, and the Tier 2 medium-grade ones almost never appear at all. Getting one is not hard for me, since I can refine or else ask a fellow guest elder of the Alchemy Hall to do it. The problem was never supply. The problem is that the medicinal power of a breakthrough pill works by burning the cultivator's own potential to hammer the bottleneck open. That is exactly why I refused to touch one 3 years ago when I first understood what I was up against. I intend to try for core formation in this simulation, and spending potential early works directly against that. 3 or 4 years of standing still have changed the math. Without the pill, I could sit at the early stage of foundation establishment for decades. By the time those decades are gone, I would not merely fail at core formation. I would never get to attempt it. And the potential I burn is only the potential of the man I am inside the simulation. When the next one begins, everything resets while my cultivation and everything else carries forward. Even if I fail at core formation this time, my foundation in the next run, or the one after it, only grows, and the odds only improve. I swallow the breakthrough pill. Half a month later, I step cleanly into the middle stage of the foundation establishment stage. 48 years old, and the middle stage of foundation establishment. Outside the simulation, I sit with that line in front of me and let myself enjoy it for a moment. On age and cultivation alone, I am not behind any heavenly spiritual root cultivator, though I know the comparison flatters me more than it should. A heavenly spiritual root who reaches the middle stage at 48 reaches the late stage in his 50s. He can reach for core formation somewhere around 80 because his potential keeps paying out year after year. Mine does not work that way. Even so, in this simulation there is no Master Hyolhei hanging over my head, and a foundation establishment lifespan buys me 200 years at the very least. With the Sanhei art holding off the arrival of old age on top of that, I can grind my way to perfection of the late stage. By then I will at least have a chance to reach for the golden core. For an ordinary medium-grade spirit root cultivator, the late stage alone is a luxury. Most of them jam at the bottleneck between early and middle, or between middle and late, and never move again for the rest of their lives. I am only past those walls because I am burning my own potential with medicinal pills, which is a trade, not a talent. It took the foundation of 2 entire simulations before I earned the bare right to attempt core formation in this one. If the road is this brutal for a man who gets to run it over and over, I can only imagine what it does to cultivators who get exactly one life. The simulation runs on. I make no effort to conceal my middle stage cultivation, and the news travels through the immortal city within days. More than 30 years ago, I arrived here and joined the Alchemy Hall already at the early stage of foundation establishment. One step up after 3 decades reads as perfectly ordinary to everyone who hears it. Several cultivators I have kept on good terms with come by to congratulate me. On the 3rd floor of the Alchemy Tower, I sit facing alchemist Joe Gan and a female cultivator in a white dress. Joe Gan's goodwill is not an accident. It is 30 years of deliberate work on my part. The woman in white is Shim Young-soo, a Tier 2 array master out of the Immortal City's array hall. She first came to me looking for medicinal pills more than 10 years ago, and stayed familiar after enough back and forth. Whenever my questions about the array Dao pile up past what I can solve alone, I bring them to her. The 2 of them congratulate me on entering the middle stage, and set their gifts down on the table. I tell them a breakthrough pill hardly deserves a celebration. Breakthrough pills eat a cultivator's own potential, and anyone with serious ambitions toward core formation refuses to touch them on principle. Jogan waves the whole idea away and asks how many of those careful cultivators who hoard their potential ever actually form a core. Even an earthly spiritual root genius cannot promise himself success there, and potential that never converts into strength is only a word people comfort themselves with. Shim Young-soo presses her lips together and agrees. I turn the conversation and ask Jogan whether the rumor is true that he has been trying to refine the Foundation establishment pill lately. His whole expression collapses, and he admits he has ruined several batches already. The alchemy hall's channels get him the main ingredient and the auxiliary medicines, but they are brutally expensive even at that price. Losing batch after batch hurts a wealthy alchemist just as much as a poor one. Worse, the spending has no visible end to it, and may never return a single thing. I tell him the failures do not matter. As it happens, I have collected enough main ingredient and auxiliary medicine for several batches of the Foundation establishment pill, and I push the whole lot across to him to practice on. If he succeeds, the pill is mine. If he fails, then he fails. Because of how the first simulation went, I spent the second one asking careful questions about Jogan's history. I know almost to the season when his first successful batch of the Foundation establishment pill lands. It is close now. After it, his standing in the alchemy hall climbs a full notch, since a tier 2 alchemist who can produce Foundation establishment pills sits well above a normal tier 2. I harvested a great deal of the main ingredient and the auxiliary medicines in the Sanhei secret realm, enough for several complete batches, and it has been sitting idle in my storage pouch ever since. Handing it over costs me nothing I will miss. Jogan stares at the storage pouch in my hand, genuinely moved. He is only a mid-grade tier 2 alchemist, and from where he sits, the odds of refining a high-grade tier 2 Foundation establishment pill look close to hopeless. He reads the gift as pure support with nothing expected back. I ask him what he is stunned for and tell him to take it. One successful batch out of the whole lot puts me ahead. Even if every single batch dies on the flame, I walk away holding a large favor from an alchemist who is about to be able to make Foundation establishment pills, and that is still profit. 30 years of company have taught me his character, and he is the type who cannot stand owing anyone anything. That is the entire reason for the investment. Ever since Yobong in the first simulation, I have been extremely careful about where I put my resources and my trust. Jogan's face goes solemn as he accepts the pouch, and he swears he will repay this favor. Even with the alchemy hall behind him, the ingredients for the Foundation establishment pill cannot be bought without limit. Several complete sets handed over right now are charcoal delivered in the middle of a snowstorm. Beside me, Shim Young-soo watches with bright eyes and says that fellow Taoist Wang Rim is truly a man of character. Most cultivators in this world guard themselves even against their own blood, so a man who gives this much away for a friend is close to non-existent. I let the compliment sit where it lands. We talk a while longer before I see them out, and on the way Shim Young-soo lingers in the courtyard with her eyes on the big black eagle. She steps up, runs her hand along Little Black's feathers, and tells me the spirit pet's bloodline is not a simple one. Little Black does not shy away from her in the slightest, and pushes his head into her palm. I let exactly the right amount of surprise reach my face and ask whether he is not just a black-winged eagle. She rolls her eyes and says definitely not, and advises me to find a specialized beast tamer and have the species identified a few times over. I agree easily. Leaving Little Black out in the courtyard where every visiting cultivator can look at him has been the point from the beginning. An origin a dozen witnesses have already accepted as an origin nobody will question on the day I sell him. Shim Young-soo leaves with her curiosity satisfied, and no idea she has just done half my work for me. In the 33rd year I am 49. With my help, Yopong's water spirit treasure physique finishes its awakening in full, and half a year ahead of schedule I move him out of Bayerwool Immortal City. Half a year after that I leave the city myself, on the excuse of going out to purchase spirit materials. 10 days later I walk back in wearing the face of a burly stranger. The disguise comes from the Sanhei sect legacy, and it is exquisite enough that nothing short of an immortal master studying me deliberately with his divine sense would find a seam in it. Even a seam would cost me very little. My true face has committed no crime anywhere in the cultivation world, so wearing it in the open exposes nothing at all. My only real secret is my age, and pinning down a cultivator's true age takes methods so complicated that not even a core formation immortal master can manage it with a glance. Inside Bayer World Immortal City I do not go straight to the black market. I take an immortal cave at an inn and sit in it for half a month first, and only then do I go looking for one of the black market's strongholds. A market that trades in resources the city has forbidden cannot operate like an auction house with 1,000 cultivators bidding in one room. The enforcement team of Bayerwall Immortal City would have torn it out by the roots long ago. This black market works out of scattered strongholds instead, one customer at a time. The market itself is nothing more than a middleman. A seller states what he wants to move and what he wants paid in. A buyer states what he is looking for, and the two of them never once stand in the same room. That arrangement strips out most of the risk of being identified. I have watched the operation quietly for years and judged it solid, because not once in all that time has any cultivator been publicly caught trading a forbidden resource through it. The shop I want sits in a dead corner of the outer city with nobody around it. I walk in, go up to the owner, and tell him the night is long. It is the current passphrase, rotated every so often, and without it there is no way past the front counter into anything real. The owner's expression turns serious at once, and he hurries me into a private room on the second floor. Before long, a cold, striking female cultivator in a black dress comes in. Early stage foundation establishment by the weight of her. I tell her I want to sell something. She asks flatly what I am selling and what the buyer is expected to pay with. I tell her I am selling a treasure physique, a water spirit treasure physique. Surprise crosses her face and vanishes again just as quickly. Anything that comes to a black market is strange by definition, and what changes hands here is not always an object at all. She works through her questions carefully, whether the physique is alive or dead, male or female, exactly how old, because every one of those answers moves the final value. A living water spirit treasure physique and a dead one are not remotely the same merchandise. I answer each question in turn. Then she asks how I intend to prove I have it in the first place. That is the part of the trade that actually matters, since a market that lines up 4 buyers only to discover the seller was lying has wasted everybody's time. I take out the drop of essence blood I drew from Yelpong earlier. Now that the water spirit treasure physique has fully awakened, the blood shows what it is, no longer plain red but carrying a faint blue light inside it. I tell her it can be examined here, and that it does not leave this room. She stands and goes out without a word. A figure buried under a bamboo hat comes in a little later, studies the drop of essence blood carefully, and finally nods. When the woman in the black dress returns, she is smiling, her manner toward me warmer by a wide margin, and she asks what it is I want. I tell her an core condensation pill, or failing that a core formation spirit item. I did not take this risk for spirit stones or for treasures and curiosities. The core condensation pill is to the golden core what the foundation establishment pill is to foundation establishment, the one thing every late-stage great cultivator in a region dreams about at night. Across the whole Taiwan region it is treated as a strategic resource. I have lived in Bayorwal Immortal City for more than 30 years, and sat through a great many auctions, and not one of them ever put in core condensation pill on the block. And core condensation pill, or a core formation spirit item, simply does not move through ordinary channels. It moves through channels like this one, and it moves by barter. She does not blink at the request, because a water spirit treasure physique is not a thing spirit stones measure well either, and she tells me to come back in a month. I go back to the immortal cave at the inn and wait out the month she needs to find buyers. When I return to the stronghold, the same woman in the black dress receives me with a smile and tells me 4 buyers in total have shown interest in the treasure physique. She names what each of them is willing to pay, one after another: 9 curved cold spirit ginseng, glazed water, 10,000-year earth milk crystal, and black agate heart. The 9 curved cold spirit ginseng is the main ingredient of the core condensation pill, and swallowed raw it still raises the odds of core formation on its own. The other 3 are core formation spirit items meant to support the breakthrough directly. Not one finished core condensation pill among them. I sigh about that inwardly and let it go, because a single water spirit treasure physique was never going to buy a finished pill outright. She asks which one I choose, and I name the 9 curved cold spirit ginseng. Swallowed directly, all 4 spirit items do roughly the same thing for my chances. Only the ginseng can be refined into a core condensation pill, and that pill raises the odds of core formation by several tiers, which makes it the best assistance that exists. The choice is not a difficult one. She asks me to wait, steps out, and comes back half an hour later with a storage pouch for me to inspect. I check the 9 curved cold spirit ginseng inside and find its medicinal properties entirely normal, and I tell her there is no problem with it. She smiles and asks after my end of the trade. I give her an address, the hidden place where I quietly moved Yobong months ago after taking him out of the immortal city. She waves a hand. A cultivator steps in. She murmurs a few words to him, and he turns and goes. 2 hours later he is back, and he gives her nothing but a glance. She tells me the treasure physique is exactly as described, stands, and pushes the storage pouch across the table to me, saying the transaction closes the moment I accept it. I put the pouch away and walk out of the stronghold. I do not leave the immortal city afterward. Instead, I rent another immortal cave at another inn and leave the storage pouch with the 9 curved cold spirit ginseng sitting inside it. That cave is close enough to my alchemy tower that I can put my attention on it whenever I want. A trade in core formation spirit items demands more caution than any other kind, especially when the item can serve as the main ingredient of a core condensation pill. The black market's guarantee is worth something, but it is not absolute safety, and whether the black market itself is truly reliable is a separate question I cannot answer. The 9-curved cold spirit ginseng passed my inspection with no problem in its medicinal properties. What no inspection can rule out is a tracking method left quietly on it. That is exactly why I rented an immortal cave to hold my main core formation ingredient, instead of carrying it around. If a tracking method really is on the ginseng, whoever planted it learns only that the thing sits inside some immortal cave somewhere in Biorwell Immortal City, which is close to useless. The whole city is wrapped in a third-tier grand array. Every inn and every immortal cave sits under its protection, and not even an immortal master could slip in silently. Entering a specific immortal cave requires the matching token, and nothing else will do. I intend to leave the ginseng sitting there for 8 or 10 years, since I am nowhere near ready to attempt the golden core anyway. At my current net worth, another decade of rent is not a burden worth thinking about. Every tracking technique has a time limit, and I cannot wait any of them. I keep it out of my own alchemy tower for the obvious reason, which is that the alchemy tower has a name attached to it. I walk in and out of the immortal city a few more times to muddy the trail, and only after several days do I come home to the alchemy tower as alchemist Wang Rim again. From the 3rd floor I can see the immortal cave district in the distance, close enough that I can put my attention on that one cave whenever the mood takes me. A core formation spirit item, finally in my hands. The high-end resources are like that, and channels alone do not buy them, because past a certain grade spirit stones stop being the currency and barter takes over. In the 34th year I am 50, and I try to draw a 2nd-tier talisman. I fail, but the failure feels close. Close enough that my talisman Dao is nearly at the 2nd tier already. 2 months later, alchemist Zhou Gan comes to see me with his whole face lit up, practically dancing, announcing that he has done it. I ask what exactly he has done, in a tone of careful confusion, though I already know the answer. He pats his storage pouch, and 7 round medicinal pills appear in front of him, filling the room with a thick, sweet pill fragrance. I let shock show on my face and ask whether those are Foundation Establishment pills, all 7 of them. It is exactly the reaction he wanted. He confirms it. 7 Foundation Establishment pills. 2 of them authentic grade and the rest ordinary, refined out of 2 successful batches from the 4 sets of main and auxiliary ingredients I handed him. I congratulate him at once. 4 sets producing 2 batches is a 50% success rate, which is not low at all, and the number matters far less than what he now knows. With that experience, he holds the key to the Foundation Establishment pill for the rest of his life, and his standing in the alchemy hall rises with it. He waves my congratulations off and asks what there is to congratulate between the 2 of us. Without my 4 sets of ingredients, he says plainly, he has no idea how many more years he would have waited. It is easy to add flowers to a brocade, and hard to bring charcoal in a snowstorm. In the heart of the moment, the more clearly a man's real nature shows. He had failed at the Foundation Establishment pill many times before this, and not one alchemist in the hall offered to help him. Plenty of them offered sarcasm instead. I gave him 4 complete sets without a word of discussion, which is why I am the first door he knocked on the instant he succeeded. He tells me, seriously, that all 7 Foundation Establishment pills are mine. I accept them without hesitating for even a breath. The 4 sets of ingredients I gave away years ago have come back many times over. A Foundation Establishment cultivator who wants Foundation Establishment pills normally has to supply the main and auxiliary ingredients himself, and pay the alchemy fee on top of that. Better than the pills, I can feel that the ground between Zhou Gan and me has shifted. From here on, if I need something from him, and it is within his reach at all, he will not refuse me. He owes me, and he knows it. Word of Zhou Gan refining Foundation Establishment pills runs through the alchemy hall within days. An Elder O throws a banquet to celebrate him. Nearly every alchemist in the hall attends. Being able to refine the Foundation Establishment pill means holding the promotion channel from Chi refining to Foundation Establishment in a single pair of hands. The number of alchemists in the entire hall who can do it is small. Shim Young-soo and I arrive together. She is not an alchemist of the alchemy hall at all, and she comes purely as a friend to Zhou Gan and to me. She looks at me with eyes like clear spring water and tells me my judgment is very good. She was sitting right there on the day I handed over 4 sets of main and auxiliary ingredients for a man to practice on. Back then, she only concluded I was reliable and generous with my friends, and it never crossed her mind that Zhou Gan would actually pull the refinement off. I smile and say nothing. The banquet winds down and the 2 of us leave together. A handsome Foundation Establishment male cultivator steps into our path, calls her Susu, and begs her to come back with him. Her face goes cold immediately as she tells him there is nothing left between them and that his name is Mu to her now, nothing more. I take a look at him myself. After all these years around Shim Young-soo, I know exactly who Mu is, and exactly what he did. His parents and her parents were close friends once, close enough to arrange a childhood engagement and plan for the 2 of them to become Dao companions when they grew up.